We'll call the meeting to order for the City Commission work session, and roll call, please.
Brown.
Here.
Calhoun. Fournier.
Here.
Kraft.
Here.
McGarity.
Here.
Rick.
Here.
York.
Here.
Commissioner Calhoun did mention that he will be just a few minutes late, so we're going to move right along and not have to excuse anything. Public participation. This is the portion of the meeting where we invite anyone from the public to address the commission. All that we ask is that you come to the microphone, give us your your full name, your residential address, and you abide by our 3-minute rule. Seeing none, we will go ahead and move to item 4, City Hall Fire Station Architectural Engineering Bidder Interviews. And with us today is our first firm, which is Whiteman. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us this evening. I guess it's already evening. But I want to kind of go through the process since this is our first. Commissioners, all of you were given the interview questions. We're going to start with Commissioner Rick and just move along down the line, and everybody's going to take a question to ask. And then we'll use that same procedure for each interview. So each person is asking the same question in each of the interviews. You will get a new form. You'll get a new form for each group, so you can keep 4 sets of them, okay? And then after we're done with the interviews, what we're going to do is we're going to obviously, we can have some discussion if we want, but what we kind of are thinking is that everyone would want to look over their notes and, think about this for the next long weekend, since we've got the long weekend. And then on Tuesday at our regular meeting, what we will do is have an agenda item we would have an agenda item with a motion so that we can pick a firm. But what we would want to do so that we can name the firm in the agenda would be that everybody email Greg by, noon? By end of day on Friday. Well, we have to post it on Friday. So we would like it by noon on Friday, with your pick. And obviously, if you don't come to that conclusion, that's okay. But just please let us know by email that you haven't come to the conclusion, right? You haven't come to your conclusion. If we don't have a consensus of what, of a firm to put on for the motion, then we will just merely discuss it at the Tuesday meeting.
So you're asking for our conclusion by tomorrow at noon?
Right.
It could be, honestly, it could be 2-3 o'clock, right? I mean,
as long as we have some time
to post it. If I can't post it by the end of business tomorrow, then your only choice would be to add it to the agenda on Tuesday yourselves. Do you want to actually vote?
But we can put it as an agenda item to discuss.
Yeah, sure. And I could actually put it on the agenda and just leave that blank, and you could fill in the blank on your motion if you wanted to.
We could also do that.
I could put it out that way tomorrow. Everybody can't get there by late tomorrow afternoon, so.
Mm-hmm. So we don't want to pressure anybody.
Feels like it.
Yeah, and so we don't want to do that. So what we're saying is, but we'd like to make a decision by Tuesday.
And if not, then Tuesday we discuss further in person and
we can still discuss in person.
Yeah.
If there's so everybody think about it. Obviously. All right. So like I said, we have, where did Commissioner McGarry go?
She'll be right back. Yeah,
okay. All right. Well, then we will start. Yeah. Oh, she did say go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. We will go ahead and start with the representatives from Whiteman. And I'm assuming if you want to have one person come up, I don't know if you intended on all 3 of you coming up, that's totally fine.
And I think, although
absolutely
Alex has a broken ankle, and he's on crutches, so he I think Chris, you could be up here.
He destroyed his chance to go to the Olympics for hockey.
Oh, such a shame.
Next time.
Excellent. We'll go ahead and give you a second to introduce yourselves.
Terrific. Well, I'm Greg Monberg. We did send these placemats around, so we have a picture in our name and what our role is with the company. I would serve as the principal in charge. I am on the board of directors of the firm. One of the unique things about Whiteman is that we are a firm that's celebrating our 80th year in business this year in 2026. And our specialty has been on critical infrastructure all across the state of Michigan over those 80 years. It's so much a part of our DNA that the chairman of the board is actually a volunteer firefighter in Royalton Township. And he would actually serve as a consultant on this project, bringing his many years of experience as a firefighter. So my role would be to make sure that we have the right team being able to deliver on all the needs of your community. And the other two, in addition to us all being architects, we're also all owners in the firm because Whiteman is an employee-owned firm. Emmanuel is going to be the project manager, and if you'd like to introduce yourself.
My name is Emmanuel Coleus. I'll be acting as the project manager for the project. I'll be your primary point of contact throughout the entire project. I'll be responsible for setting weekly priorities for the team, coordinating the architectural and engineering teams, making sure they're all aligned, and tracking the schedule, the budget, and the scope in real time.
And then Chris Bryak would be serving as our project architect.
My name is Chris Bryak. I'm an architect with Whiteman. I've been there for 42 years now, so I have a little bit of experience. I'm also the regional manager for architecture of the Benton Harbor office. I'm more the in the office guy. I'm the one that makes sure the drawings get put together. I'll be working with both Emmanuel and Greg to design the building. And then once we have a design, I'll be the one pretty much pushing it through our draftsmen and managing the draftspeople and also managing our consultants to make sure that they give us what we're asking for.
And many of the projects on both sides are projects that Emmanuel and Chris have worked on. Chris is actually working on 2 other fire stations currently. And actually, we are starting a third fire station project right now in St. Joe, Indiana, for the county. So share your experience on that.
Sure. Right now we're in a we're in a programming phase of designing a 5-bay fire station for what is it? Broder Township. And we'll be finishing up that effort by the end of March, so it won't conflict with this project at all. We move forward. And we just finished the same type of programming exercise for Bertrand Township, which is also a 5-bay fire station, plus they're attaching the township hall to it, so it's kind of a dual-use building.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started on the questions. We're trying to keep us to our 30-minute cycle so that we can get everyone in tonight. So, all right, Commissioner Rick.
All right. Would you outline your overall approach to designing and delivering this project from initial assessment through construction and provide a realistic timeline for the design phase specifically?
Right. So there's 2 parts to that. Part of it is our process, and we like to use the Franklin Covey 7 habits. I'd say we'd first want to begin with the end in mind and understanding what success looks like for your community. And when you have to have this done, we'd want to understand those completion dates. And then we'd want to work backwards from there to understand the schedule in order to make that happen. We also understand from the RFP that the timeline has shifted a little bit. You initially had determined that the decision would have been made about 2 months ago, so you're a little bit behind. I think that the timeline that was put into the RFP is very realistic, and we can absolutely deliver on that. We do think that if you shrunk it by 2 months, that does increase risk of change orders and not having enough time to make sure that all of your concerns are reflected. It is not just our time to get the documents put together. It's also the time for all of you to understand what it is you're approving and making sure that it represents what your community wants to have. For our process, we like to begin with what we call a roles, goals, controls workshop. We call it an RGC, and it's just what it sounds like. We think communication is critical, so we want to understand who the roles are, not only from our team, but from yours. Who do you want making decisions? Who do you want to have input from? Who do you want to keep informed through the process and how that's going to work? We'd want to map all that out first. We'd want to understand controls as well. That includes scope, schedule, budget, making sure that we're meeting your program and your schedule and your timeline and budget, and that we're not presenting something that isn't within the controls that you have. And also the goals, the G, we want to understand what success looks like. We'd ask all of you on the day that ribbon is cut and everybody's excited about having a new facility in the community, what are you going to be most proud of? And are we achieving that? And we'd want to make sure that we deliver on that. And so we work through our process then for schematic design, DD, and construction documents. At each phase, we have critical questions that we have for all of you for input. By the end of design development, we really want all the design decisions made. And then through construction documents, we would create the bidding documents that would communicate with the contractors. And then we go through bidding and award and construction administration in order to deliver. And we would be very happy to deliver on all of those phases all the way through.
Can I feedback some of that on that? You've done a lot of really good research work on this project already through the programming, and we don't want to review that programming, but we would want to build on what's been done already. We want to try to recreate it, and that would help a lot with the schedule. That'd probably save a month of the schedule.
Thank you. Commissioner Calhoun, not to put you on the spot since you just walked in, but can you read question number 2? Because you are you're designated for question number 2.
Whoa, look at that. Right on time. Sorry. It's late coming from work, the traffic.
That's okay.
Okay, relevant public safety and retrofit experience. Please describe your firm's experience with public safety and municipal projects, particularly retrofit or renovation projects similar in scope and complexity to this one.
And we have lots of examples. Many of them are on the placard handout that we gave, but I'd like Chris, he's been working for Whiteman for over 40 years and has done many projects very much like this.
There'll be some special considerations with a renovation project, and that's something we're very familiar with. In the placard, there's a Spearflex building. That's a 5-story building in Kalamazoo that we renovated. And with every renovation, you're going to come up with things that you don't expect. The goal to make a successful project will be how we react to those items. We have to react quickly and thoughtfully to make those unexpected circumstances work right for the project. I'd say 30% of our work is probably municipal work. We've worked throughout most of the municipalities in Southwest Michigan, several in Northern Indiana, and into central Southern Michigan, and I guess now we're in Eastern Michigan too. For our experience, I've worked on at least 8 municipal buildings, but Greg and Emmanuel have come to our office a little later. Greg's been here about 10 years, and Emmanuel's been here about 5 years. So from that experience, you're gaining basically the experience of 3 different companies within our company. So we do have a lot of municipal experience to share with you.
I could also add to, I've done approximately a dozen or so fire stations in my career. And a few of them have been combination police, fire, and city hall buildings. So we know how those dynamics work and making sure those functions are separated properly.
Now, you also have the component for the city hall. We've recently finished a couple city hall projects too, and we also have completed the Nottowasipi's government building and the Pokagon's government building, which are about 40,000 square foot office buildings that are kind of open concept. You can let the sun in. They're both, one's gold lead and the other was silver lead. So we're familiar with the city hall type building also. We've done a lot of that. We just finished the Cassopolis Village Hall, and that also had a DPW building attached to it, which is not a fire station in any way, shape, or form, but it does give a building with that kind of volume. We just finished that a couple years ago.
Is there a combo city hall fire station around here that you've done, or can you give me an example? You said you did several. You don't have to get up.
The 2 ones that I've done was Gibraltar and Rockwood.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Those
are
are
we able to
combinations.
have him come closer? It's just so.
Sorry.
He's got a broken ankle.
Oh,
He's
It's all right.
No, don't do that. No, don't do it.
Yeah, the 2 projects that I was just referencing was the Rockwood City Hall Police and Fire Building and the Gibraltar city. Also had done a retrofit for City Hall for Groseal Township, which was an old airplane hangar, and they converted that to City Hall.
That's cool.
Fun projects.
Yeah.
We got some old buildings.
We also did the Bridgman City Hall and Fire Station. It was a combination project we did. That goes back quite a few years where we've also done a renovation on it since then.
Oh, wow.
Did you say Richmond?
Bridgman.
Oh, Bridgman,
It's in
okay.
southwest Michigan.
Okay.
And then there's another one too that's coming to mind. Oh, the Bertrand Township building was also a township hall and fire station combination.
Excellent. Commissioner Brown, do you want to read number
Sure.
3?
Good evening, gentlemen. Can you walk us through how you developed your fee proposal, including any anticipated reimbursable or travel expenses? What services are not included in your base fee, and what circumstances would trigger additional services?
Well, Emmanuel is the project manager, put our fee together, so.
Yep. For the most part, everything is included. Obviously, we're not including a complete redesign of your fire station and your facility. We will be validating the existing program that you have with your staff to ensure that that is correct. Obviously, everything that includes civil engineering, electrical, mechanical, structural engineering, landscape architecture, all that is included in the scope.
Are there services that could arise that are not included? Because I have seen that listed in a list, not for your firm, but services that are not included but could surface.
If I remember correctly, we did have included the geotechnical and the survey as well, but something that would not be included, obviously, if something was redesigned or if the building gets bigger or if you add the second floor to the fire station or something like that, the scope changes.
Okay.
Is your
Hopefully
office
that's-
around here? I mean, will there be a lot of travel?
We have, not very much. We have 2 offices in the Detroit metro area. Emmanuel is the regional manager for our office in Southgate. And we also have an office in Royal Oak, and we would
Okay.
expect most of our work coming out of Royal Oak and Southgate.
And I would add one other thing too that's not included in our proposal is FF&E, so furniture,
That's a good
equipment. We're not selecting the furniture for you,
No,
but
thank
we'll
you.
work with
Although,
you.
if you wanted us to, that would be an additional service. And we do have interior design, so we're experienced doing equipment and furnishings for similar buildings.
So furnishing selections is not included.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And just so everybody knows, that wasn't part of the RFP as well.
Correct. We included everything that was requested in the RFP, to be clear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, for the geotech survey.
We'll go ahead and move on to the next one. How will you manage the project budget to avoid scope creep and cost overruns during both design and construction?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Municipal projects are very critical when you look at budgets. The way we handle this is weekly check-ins with the city staff and yourselves, if possible, to make sure the plans are aligned with your budget. In addition to that, every step of the way, whenever there's a change in the design, we consult our estimator to make sure that change is still in line with your budget. We want to make sure that, obviously, we don't go over budget. If I can add anything
Yeah.
else, I think would be.
The only other thing I would add that, yes, we have a third-party cost estimator that would help us to make sure that we're keeping it on budget, but we also have a significant number of municipal buildings and fire stations for empiric cost data that we would be able to compare it to. And actually, Chris was just compiling a lot of cost data on other firms and their buildings and how much they're costing per square foot. So we would be bringing all that to the table, that background research, our own empiric data, and our third-party cost estimator to keep it in check.
Then to go along with that, this is going to be a renovation project. I'll guarantee that you're going to have change orders. It's going to happen, but we'll vet the change orders. Some change orders are good. So they might benefit the city. That happens all the time. But everyone has a bad taste about change orders because we might find something in the field that's different, or there might be something missing on a drawing. We'll talk with the contractor, find out, what the problem is. We will get from him a solution. Then we'll vet his solution and his costs before we bring it to you, and we'll come to you with a recommendation to either accept the change order, or we'll go back to the drawing boards and figure a different way to have a solution for that problem.
Very good. Thank you. Commissioner
Okay.
Fournier?
Public engagement. What is your experience holding town halls to garner public input, and how were you able to incorporate the feedback into the design?
Mm-hmm. That's something I actually specialize in. We've gotten a lot of experience leading community engagement workshops, and we have done that for a variety of different public building types. We've done that for schools, we've done that for bond campaigns, and we've done that for other community buildings, municipal buildings, and fire stations. What we found is that it is best to form a steering committee of leadership that all of you identify as part of our roles, goals, controls. Part of that is developing the communication plan and making sure who you want. We often recommend not only having all the people that are in favor on that steering committee, but often people that are sometimes viewed as naysayers, because frankly, you get a better result in the end. Then we develop a series of community workshops. For example, we designed a $100 million career tech high school for Kalamazoo, and we led a series of 4 community workshops, both to communicate with the community what it was going to be, but also to build advocates for the project, so that anytime you design something, there's a million ways that you chose not to do it. Mm-hmm. You're only building this once, and you can point to anything else, and often you'll have community members, why didn't they do that? They could have rotated it this way. They could have done something different. And so by engaging some of those critical people along the way, you are building champions for the project, and they can say, you know what, we thought about that, but through this workshop, we decided this was the better solution. And that ultimately supports all of you in your decision-making and making sure that you have consensus. We do that first and foremost by generating one-on-one conversations. So very often in the community workshops, we will have someone that is a commissioner meeting with a taxpayer, and they will ask each other a series of questions that we put together in a booklet. Then we collect all the feedback from those one-on-ones into small groups and tables, and then we have them report out to the group. And ultimately, we usually have a process of voting, and sometimes we've done that through Menti. It's a website where you can use your phone. Anybody with a phone can vote on which options they like and which ideas they support. Or sometimes we do it with stickers, where we have people post it on flip charts, put them up on the wall, and give everybody a red sticker for their first choice, a green one for their second choice. But often by seeing that process, everyone can see, you know what? 20 people, 30 people did like this idea, and this was why. And we list out those pros and cons. So it's as much about communicating and facilitating that communication and building those advocates through the process.
Thank you. Commissioner McGarity. Sorry.
It's okay.
I know you're still writing.
624. Risk management and unknown conditions. What potential unknowns or risk concerns you most about a project like this? If unforeseen conditions are discovered, how would you address them while minimizing schedule and budget impacts?
Yeah, Chris began to address some of that through the change order process. So the biggest concern are things that may not be documented. Anytime you're renovating a building that's an older building, over the life of that building, sometimes there are changes that are made that are not well documented. Plumbing could change. They didn't actually put lines in where you thought they were on the documents. Until you do selective demolition and find out where those changes are, sometimes there can be surprises. Also with soils, that's why we do all of the due care and due diligence up front. That's why we want to have an environmental site assessment done up front. That's why we have a geotechnical, and we included that with the RFP so we understand the soil conditions below ground. That said, every time you do a boring, you understand the conditions at the boring. 5 feet over, it could be a different condition. And so that's why it's important to collect as much information ahead of time and have that risk mitigated by finding out as much as we can in advance.
I think you just did a great job. That's all that I said.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Horn.
For defining success, from your perspective, what does a successful outcome look like for this project? And what distinguishes your firm from others that we're interviewing tonight? What do you want us to have the takeaway be?
Number one is public safety, that this is a critical facility for protecting people and property within the community. We take that very seriously at Whiteman. The majority of the work we do is dealing with critical infrastructure. I'd say secondarily, we want it to be a project that everybody's proud of, that once that's built and you have that ribbon cut, that's where we'd want to start the project when we have that roles, goals, controls. What does success look like from your point of view? What are you going to be most proud of? What do you want the headline to be in the newspaper when that ribbon is cut? And we want to deliver on that.
Anything else in terms of what you want us to remember might separate you from others we hear from tonight?
Well, a big one would be what I mentioned, that this is part of our DNA. Our chairman of the board at Whiteman, Brian Lieberg, who we have listed on our flow chart for our team, is also a volunteer fighter.
He's a chief.
He's a chief for Royalton Township. And he's been doing it for many years. And so I don't think many people would have a chairman of the board who is actually a firefighter and understands the critical nature of that.
I think our experience goes along with that. I started mentioning that earlier, where we all came from different firms, so we're not just single-minded of a way of doing something. We have a very diverse understanding of fire station. We might argue amongst ourselves during design, but all three of us will be involved with design. So you have about 110 years of experience between the three of us. And then if you throw Casey in there, there's another 10, 15. Mm-hmm. So we have quite a bit of experience on a project like this. And we have about 25 people in our department. So we do have quite a bit of manpower to get a project like this done. And ever since COVID, COVID was a terrible thing. Mm-hmm. But what we've been able to do since then is we work through all 10 of our offices now pretty fluidly. Our computer programs, we all work off the same information. We put it in the same place where people from different offices can work off the same drawing. So it really speeds things up when you have 6 people working on a project at the same time. So technically we're pretty well advanced company for the way we get things done.
Appreciate that.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. Does anyone from the commission have any further questions? All right. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. We really appreciate it. It was a very great interview. I would say a great interview, very insightful, a great way to kick it off. So thank you very much. And we will obviously be in touch with you very soon. We have 3 other interviews tonight, and we're hoping to catch up on some time with from our lagging the last few months. But yeah, we're really excited about the project. So hope.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate the opportunity, and we hope you all the success in your decision making. I know it won't be easy. so many qualified firms to look at.
Yeah, thank
We
you
have
again.
questions tomorrow morning before we get our deadline. Can I call you?
Yeah, they left you their cards, so yeah.
I
definitely
would
do
love
that.
that.
Yeah,
please
yeah,
call.
yeah.
We see this as a very exciting project too. It's,
Right.
with the Pokagons, we do a lot of, with the Native American groups, we do a lot of cultural stuff. With a project like this, we're working in a city, an established city. It'd be nice to bring the history into the building too somehow. So we could a lot of fun things we can do with this.
Thank you so much,
Oh,
you
thank
guys.
you.
Take care.
Thank you.
And speedy recovery on that ankle.
Be careful.
Oh, very nice.
Watch the ice on your way.
Yes, please.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, because I feel like,
Yeah.
although I feel like we, 6:30. We did, yeah, we did.
Or else it'll basically just be Tuesday, we'll just
Can we
keep
do the
discussing.
questions in the same order so that we're used to the questions? Laura,
If we want to be able to vote on it on Tuesday.
I said, could we do the questions in the same order so that we're
Well,
used to the
no.
For
questions?
sure.
wanna
Oh,
have-
yeah,
And
for
we're
sure.
better at delivering
Decision
it?
Yep, that's
on the
what, yep, I was
agenda.
hoping for.
We need to have it early enough. Can I have a
Oh, put this away.
This is hers.
I have one.
Oh, you don't have one. Oh, you did the one thing. This is
I have
like a real
Oh,
interview.
yeah.
Lane has to bring her in and everything.
Oh, there's three. Oh, like we're keeping them for everything?
Okay, so you don't.
Sorry, I don't hear that.
Right here.
This should be plenty.
It's three per person, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
gave you 3 because there's 3 more.
Okay. Oh, okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Oh, how long will it be?
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry.
I was
I
like,
heard that
why
there
is
was a
Mayor Clark
deadline of some
pushing
sort. I'm
this?
not.
Okay, so
Three
what
more.
we
How
were
did
asking
you-
is, let me, because I don't
How come
think, can
your
I,
project
can I,
is so different?
can I, hold on for 1 second? Because I think we were talking when you stepped out too. So what we were hoping for is to do the process of interviewing everyone tonight. And then if there's if everyone walks out and feels like they have who they believe is it in their mind, then send it to Greg via email, who you prefer.
Okay,
And if then we have a consensus of some sort, then
okay.
he'll put it on the agenda for Tuesday, because why delay?
With that.
But if not, then we'll discuss it on Tuesday.
Okay.
I see.
So, in order to do that, we would need it by the end of the day, because he would have to put it on the agenda. The agenda that just went out, they would have to amend it. Elaine would have to repost it by the end of the day.
I see.
Okay?
All right. thank
So
you.
again, no pressure.
Do they have these questions?
But if we're
They don't
all
know.
already like,
Yeah.
yep, I know.
I mean, we've had the RFPs, we've looked through everything. So it's not like you're getting all of their proposals just today, right? I mean, so.
And just a little bit too, for some clarification. So when we put the RFP out, or something on a bigger project, you tend to get a lot of questions, right? And then when you answer those questions, they become addendums to the RFP. And so as you start getting a lot more questions and answers, and then if you provide more information to the group, then at some point you got to make the decision, do you extend the deadline for the RFP, right? Because there's more questions being asked, there's new information that's being shared. And so it wasn't 2 months, it was about 3 weeks, I think we added to the deadline for the RFP. And so
And when a question is asked, everyone is given the same information.
Yeah.
Just like when we ask questions, how, everyone is then given the information that the commissioner asks. It's the same with an RFP. Everyone who was at that meeting, the walkthrough meeting, is given whatever question is asked, they're given the question and the answers. Does that make sense?
Okay, so all the not even just
Potential
our-
bidders.
Okay, all the potential bidders.
any question that's asked, if it's answered to the group on bid app. Right, so they constantly look for these addendums to be posted and then it gets announced, if you sign up. So, as we start getting more questions and we add these addendums, then either the purchasing agent, or in this case myself on a bigger project, I have to make the decision whether to push the deadline out further for the RFPs to be returned.
Quick comment before we let the next folks in. I feel kind of like I'm coming in the middle of this thing and need to really catch up. I doubt I will have a decision by tomorrow because I just realized that Whiteman was the company that did the feasibility study up front.
No.
I'm calling it
No.
feasibility, but
it's not.
wasn't it Whiteman?
No.
that did
Yeah,
the-
Partners in
so It was
Architecture.
Partners in Architecture.
Oh, it was part, but that was done. I'm sorry if I
Yes.
misnamed. And I don't have it, but I'm told that it was a handout.
No, I
And
gave it to you,
You did?
yeah.
Okay.
It's a
So-
hard copy,
It's a big,
yeah.
It was-
Oh,
it was
okay,
bound.
It's a big,
Yeah.
it was
It was
bound.
bound. It was one of the studies that, to make sure that the building would fit us.
But I can send a copy.
Yeah, because all I have this big is my big budget book. I don't know what happened if I left it here, but yeah, I would need that. Thank
Okay.
you.
Quick question. When will the video be ready to view?
This
Is
video,
it live right now or tomorrow?
it's live right now, so it'll
Okay,
be,
because
Yep.
if this helps, this is what I'm doing. When we start our next question, just write the time down so you can review at that time, whatever it is with each. Because it's a lot to write and you might miss something.
sure.
Okay.
And what
Yep.
might be
Good idea.
beneficial
Good
too
idea.
is I believe we videoed that presentation.
Oh, yeah, we did.
And
It was a
so
work
You did?
session.
It was a
that might
work
even be
session?
Better because you'll have.
But
Yeah, it was work
questions and
session.
answers that might have taken
Okay.
place too.
It was a
yeah,
work session.
I still would like the book though, because
No,
I
no
don't
problem.
know what happened, but I
But
didn't
we
carry it out.
videoed that,
Okay.
right, Robbie?
Is
Remember
it the
correctly?
big book?
Yeah,
and
A
mine
long
is
one.
with me, if you want to
can't
take
miss
mine
it,
right
'cause-
tonight, so you have something to start with.
yeah, and
I'd appreciate that too.
Yeah.
Thank
or
you.
we have them here, so we can.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, I didn't know we had.
Okay.
I can send this, like, just the raw footage to you guys as soon as we're done.
Okay.
Yes, please.
That would be great.
So then I'll just have the edited part tomorrow, and then you guys get it all tonight.
No problem. That's perfect.
Wonderful.
We'll just
Thank you, Robbie.
I'll just send it to you.
It's gonna make
guys.
it easier.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a work session in, I wouldn't say like August or September.
Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I saw it, but I didn't see the details because I didn't have the book. And I'm sorry, I probably left it
Yeah,
here because I don't
Because it
remember.
was just, the idea with that too, just so you know, when you go to watch or look at the book is, before we purchased the building, we wanted to make sure that
Right.
it was actually capable to do what we wanted.
Mhm.
So we
Mhm.
was basically in a building assessment, and a feasibility study to make sure that this project would actually fit.
Right, okay.
And Partners is the Mount Clemens firm.
Yeah, and then
Oh, yeah, okay.
all that information was shared with the bidders, along with.
Oh, they have to.
Yeah.
No, actually, this is a question I had. Do they get to work from there or?
It's
Because
their
it's
choice, right?
Yeah.
It was just listed that this was done, and the intent was just what I said. And then all that was added, and in some of the question forms was, I said, we're not locked into this. This is, your architectural freedom to do what you want to do with this. But this is where we took it this far. And I said, everybody seemed pleased with this, but we're definitely open to ideas.
Was that what Whiteman was referring to when they said they would look at what we've already done
Right.
and build on
Yeah.
it versus starting from scratch?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he referred to it as programming. He said we have programming and we can look at that.
Mhm.
Okay, I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, it just.
Yeah, that must be his lingo because I have
Where?
not heard it like in
Yeah,
our
described
design
that way.
process.
Yeah.
It's not
I
like
didn't want them to
yeah.
feel locked into it, but yet to not share it wouldn't have been.
and sorry, when I say our design, I meant Bakes and Crop, not.
Oh,
Mount
gotcha,
Clemens.
gotcha. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Makes more sense now.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Sorry.
When it comes to the fire station and City Hall, and I guess this could have been a good question for them to ask it to the next group, still getting situated.
Sorry.
Do they end up doing like a separate ventilation system or anything
Well,
to separate?
so
those
what
sites?
the difference with the fire station is they have to follow certain standards, and it's usually NFPA. And NFPA has a whole section on fire stations, whether they're standalone or connected to other facilities, and that's one of the things that's now in place is, we'll call it dirty air, and how it can be cleaned, where can it get to, where can it not be allowed to get to. So yeah, that's all part of all the NFPA codes that they have to take into consideration. So the fire station end of it's a little bit more specialized than just a normal office building.
Is everyone familiar with LEED certified? Okay. Yes.
With which certified?
LEED. 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 The LEED certified. It's just like it's a certification for like green
Sustainability.
Yeah. all that
And
type of stuff.
he mentioned gold and silver for one particular structure.
So obviously
Okay.
different levels of,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Ready? Yeah, thank you, Elaine.
Do we know which group this is?
Yes.
Detroit Architectural Group.
5
Oh,
minutes behind.
It's on the
5
And
agenda.
we're 5 minutes
Okay,
behind,
great.
yeah. Well, we're 10.
Gotcha.
6:30.
Oh, no, because there's 5 minutes in between, right?
No, it says 6:35 for Detroit Architecture.
Okay, so we're 5 minutes behind. Okay. Sorry. Hi, gentlemen.
We got a 10-minute
Come on
break
in.
between.
Where would you like us to be?
If you guys want to be at the podium, yeah, we'll do it that way. And if you want to send one person, if you want to do all three of you, that's totally fine. However you want to approach is fine. We'll give you a second to get set up. Commissioners, did you all get enough copies of this?
Yes.
Because we have some more over here. Okay. So while you're getting set up, we'll go ahead and let you know kind of the process, right? So what we have 7 questions, one for each of us to give you, and we're each commissioner is asking the same question in the interview, so that way it's completely the same interview process for each firm. We hope to make these decisions within the near future. We do have a commission meeting on Tuesday. I mean, if you knock it out of the park, maybe we'll have it on Tuesday. But we're gonna, we're not rushing anybody because we want to take our time to make the right decision. Right, this is a very big project for us, and we're very excited about it.
Understandable.
So welcome, and we'll give you guys a couple of minutes to just introduce yourself and who did you bring and all that good stuff.
Sure. So I'll start. My name's Brandon Kritzman. I'm one of the principal owners of Detroit Architectural Group. Brought along kind of a representative sample of the team tonight. We didn't want to march all 35 people in here, but the group we have here will be able to answer the questions that come up. And certainly if there's anything we're not able to answer, we'll get answers back to you within the next 24 hours.
Great.
Craig?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Craig Carter. I am a partner and the fire and EMS practice leader for BKV Group. We've partnered with DAG on a couple of projects now successfully, I believe, and excited to team up with them once again.
So you're a separate organization?
We are a separate firm.
Hello, my name is Neil Spitzley. I'm with Matrix Consulting Engineers. I'm a senior mechanical engineer there. We do mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineering services, and look forward to the project.
So you're in a separate company too?
As well.
Yes. Just checking.
Yeah, and forgive me, I assumed you had a chance to go over all of the proposals and whatnot.
We did.
I probably should have said, Detroit Architectural Group, we took the lead on the proposal. We would be the project contact, the architect of record. We have a relationship that we've established with BKV Group over the last 5 years. They are certainly architects capable of doing immense projects, honestly, probably bigger and better than what we are able to. So relying on their expertise and their ability to draw from those projects on a nationwide basis is why they're attractive partners to us, because it allows us to bring that expertise to bear right here in Southeast Michigan. So we have a relationship worked out with BKV Group. And as Craig mentioned, along with Matrix, we just finished a fire station and a police station for City of Trenton. Those projects are out to bid right now. They are just now starting construction. So very recent, relevant experience to what you guys are working on. DAG, without these guys, forgive me for a second, we just started a project kickoff on a township hall in a community in Holly Township today. So we do a fair bit of municipal work in the area. We've done a whole lot of projects for Livonia, Taylor, rattle off a bunch of names you guys know, but having their expertise at that national level and Matrix's expertise all across Michigan, and I'm sure they go beyond Michigan, our goal was to bring to bear the best team that we could leverage for this project. So we have a relationship worked out where architecturally we share those responsibilities with BKV Group. Craig and his expertise on the fire side, it's irreplaceable. I can't do it all. Craig brings knowledge to a situation that is pat him on the back a little bit. It's hard to beat. It really is. He's a speaker at a national level and an expert across the country. We share the architectural responsibilities up front. They do about 85% of it in the initial phases, programming, schematic design. When you get to the middle, design development, we split that kind of 50-50. And then toward the construction documents side, our role increases to a point where we're taking on 85% of that work, making sure we're back checking it with them and their expertise. Matrix, they're entirely involved from start to finish and have a whole host of projects that they've done with these guys without us. So I get to yell at them for a second. But we have a great working relationship back and forth with these three companies. They will handle all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Craig and his team will lead independently the structural engineering and the interior design as well.
Excellent. Okay. Well, like I said, we each have a question, and we're hoping to keep you at around 30 minutes. I know that's what Elaine was mentioning
We'll do
when
our
she
best.
started. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So, all right, Commissioner Rick, you want to kick us off?
Thank you. First, would you outline your overall approach to designing and delivering this project from initial assessment through construction and provide a realistic timeline for the design phase?
Because we already talked about it, and I know that he has the answer all set, I'm going to pass this one to Craig here.
All right. At the very beginning of the project, we really want to sit down with you guys and understand really what your space needs are. You guys have done a lot of work on this project already. We do want to recognize that. We need to understand, from our perspective, what all the drivers of the programming space sizes are and how the relationships will need to work together, things like that. Really get to understand that. Work with you to figure out the best way to lay those spaces out within the building. There's one option on the table. We think there's probably a few more that need to be looked at during the course of this design project. Frequently, studies only look at a very small segment of the opportunities, and so we've got some thoughts on that front we could share with you if you'd like. And we'll work with you to show you a number of different options. Make sure that we're going back and forth with you to select the best option moving forward that's going to be most cost effective. It's going to be the best functioning option for the sheriff, for the fire department, and for the city hall staff, for the general public as well. And we'll talk to you a lot about the general feel of the space during these upfront phases as well. How large they are, what sort of colors you might expect, the sorts of furniture and equipment that need to go in each space, the general character of it. Make sure that what we ultimately propose is best for Mount Clemens. So we'll work with you closely during those upfront phases to figure out how big it's going to be, what the layout's going to be, what it all kind of looks like. And we call that kind of the schematic design phase. Then we move into the next step, which is design development. Which, as Brandon said, we're kind of splitting 50-50 with DAG. That's really getting into a lot of specifics. We know how big your council chambers needs to be, but during that phase, we'll talk about, well, what sort of technology do we need? What sort of protective measures do we want to build into the dais? What does the hardware on the door need to look like? How do the light fixtures, to steal a bit of Neil's thunder, how does the light fixtures get controlled? Is there a switch? Are there up and down dimmers? How many zones are in the building? So all those sorts of things get fleshed out during that design development phase. So there's still a lot of substantive meetings with you guys during that stretch. Once we've kind of figured out all of the nitty-gritty details, then we'll move into the construction documents phase. We will continue to meet with you because there will be things that come up that we'll need to discuss. But a lot of that is just creating the documents that are necessary to get the information in the hands of the contractors who are bidding it, making sure they have the complete instruction manual to complete the project accurately, in a cost-effective manner, in a timely manner, et cetera. So we'll spend a lot of time trying to figure out that sort of stuff. That's mostly DAG working on that side of stuff, but BKV Group stays involved because there's a lot of very specific details with all these types of projects, these project types, these user groups that maybe we have specific expertise in, and we'll contribute to those. And then the project will be bid. Then we'll go into construction and we'll monitor the construction phase on a regular basis throughout, make sure that the contractor is upholding their end of the bargain. That's the kind of the process in a nutshell. More specifically, we're going to meet with you in a series of kind of targeted workshops that have specific agendas going throughout them, so you guys know exactly what we're going to talk about at each stage of the game. It's all going to be planned out. You'll know who to bring to the table at each of those meetings, who we're bringing to the table for each of those meetings. Matrix might not be involved in every single one of those. Sometimes we're talking about interior finishes instead of mechanical, electrical systems, et cetera. So we just want to make sure that everybody who's supposed to be at the meeting is at the meeting. They can make the decisions that are necessary at that meeting. So over the course of the project, there's probably 10 or 12 workshops that we'll have with you that are somewhere between some of them will be an hour and a half, some of them might be 4 hours long, but all of them will be targeted and have very specific outcomes that we're hoping to achieve, and you'll know all that stuff ahead of time. We plan to be, engage the broader staff of the city as much as possible through some surveys and opportunities to reach out to them to get their input on the project. With your permission, of course, we'd like to do that. Make sure that everybody has an opportunity to express their opinions about the project and let us know some things that are great about the current facility that they don't want to lose. Maybe they have an opportunity to express some things that are that they would be happy to lose about the current facilities, right? As long as we can get that information, then I think we'll be able to incorporate that and make everybody pretty happy.
Yeah.
In terms of the overall time frame for the project, you guys had a pretty aggressive schedule in your original RFP. We're prepared to meet that if you guys are. But it's a burden, not for us. We do this day in and day out, but you and your staff have real jobs, and this isn't necessarily part of that. So we don't want to over meeting you or overcommit your time when you have real jobs to do. So if we can slow the process down, that might actually be in your interest. And so we'll talk about that. Happy to do whatever you guys need on that front.
There's probably more we can add to that, but in the interest of time and understanding that there's 7 questions.
Yeah.
Answer those questions.
Yeah, you probably will. Yeah.
But
Commissioner
if not,
Kelly.
I'll throw it in at the end.
Okay.
Please describe your firm's experience of public safety and municipal projects, particularly retrofit or renovation projects similar in scope and complexity to this one.
I'll go first because I'm the quickest one. I've probably done a dozen public safety projects, new construction primarily, with maybe 2-3 renovations in there. I spoke entirely too long already because my experience pales in comparison to these guys. So Neil, could you share Matrix's experience?
Yeah. I mean, some of the projects and very recent, really. I mean, we've already mentioned the city of Trenton, where that was a new fire station, brand new. Again, walking through that design from an MEP standpoint, we looked at a lot of different systems, but we also looked at the budget and how can we make that system economical, but still have good temperature control just from an HVAC perspective. Also the city of public safety, city of Lansing public safety new complex that's being built right now. That included multiple fire stations as well. And again, from an MEP perspective, we know how these systems works. Fire stations, they're kind of unique. They've got a small building, small footprint, but you got to fit a lot of different things in there. The sleeping quarters, the decontamination zones, as well as the apparatus bays. So again, a lot of experience there. And I've been at Matrix 17 years, but there seems to be a fire station, at least 1 or 2, and we do a lot of government work too. And like I said, this team, we have the experience. So
I'm going to try not to talk for too long. BKV Group has been in business for almost 50 years now, and we've been doing municipal work for that entire time. I've not been with the company that whole time. I'm 15 years with the company. But we've, over the course of our history, we've done over 225 fire stations, more than 200 police stations, and more than 160 city hall projects. And some of those are combined. So there's some overlap there amongst all those. But these are the core of what we do. Out of all of our practice sites, we have a number of offices across the country. And renovations obviously are a key part of that. Not every community has the ability just to whip up a new fire station or city hall at the drop of a hat. So we have extensive experience renovating buildings that are city halls or fire stations and just kind of upgrading those sorts of things, but also taking non-purpose-built structures and finding the best way to put those those sort of uses into those new structures. Lansing Fire Station 8, for example, is a fire station renovation that has been designed and bid and is starting construction right now. They're in the throes of the asbestos removal process, which is significant on that particular one. Very recent projects also in Elk River and in Bensonville and in Spotsylvania, Virginia. We're doing this work kind of all across the country. We've learned a lot from our renovation experience. It's always a very unique challenge. Every building is very different. But happy to talk about more of that if you want a follow-up.
Commissioner Brown.
Okay, good evening, gentlemen. I'm going to ask you about fee structure and cost transparency. Can you walk us through how you developed your fee proposal, including any anticipated reimbursable or travel expenses? And what services are not included in your base fee? And what circumstances would trigger additional services?
So I don't have it in front of me. Obviously, I think it's probably buried in paperwork on your end as well. If I recall correctly, it was a very simple calculation of 6.2% based on a budget of $13 million. I think you guys had a pretty significant range, if I recall correctly, in the RFP, something like 11.5 to 14.5 million, roughly speaking. We kind of pegged that in the middle and said, we know based on past experience of doing projects like this, that if we peg it at like a $13 million project, we know that our team can efficiently perform the project, kind of perform all the services that you're going to need, and make sure that we have latitude to not hit you up with change orders all the time at that number. And so, like, what would cause a trigger for us as far as a change? So you go through schematic design development, construction documents. Nobody expects this to be an A through Z process where you're going sequentially and you're never going back to revisit something. We anticipate this being an iterative process. We are constantly refining, constantly changing things. And these guys have never hit me up for a change order on any sort of change. The only thing that would cause that in our mind is if we get it halfway through construction documents after having committed to a direction in schematic design, refined it further into design development, and then all of a sudden you say, you know what? We're not going to do the addition off that side. We're going to do it off the other side of the building. That's a significant change, right? Like to us, that warrants an additional cost because there's hundreds, even thousands of hours of effort that would need to change. It is not our method of operation to nickel and dime people. We will stick to that percentage that we submitted in the contract. From a reimbursable standpoint, we have. I don't recall specifically what we put in that contract from a reimbursable standpoint. I would have to check on that and get back to you. But I can tell you for us locally, the local teams don't charge for mileage or anything. We do have some travel expenses to make sure that we have the expertise in town when needed. And so we do have some of those mechanisms in there. Reimbursables, honestly, across the board, and you should be feeling this with all your teams, it should be less of a thing than it used to be. So much of what we do now is digital, and I don't have to print 12 copies of big giant renderings to hand out to you guys. It's an email. And so hopefully reimbursables are not such a big driver of the project, but we tend to take a relatively conservative approach to that, and I can't tell you a single time we've hit our limit.
Okay. Speculatively, can you think of any services that may arise that are not included in your base fee?
I think we were very specific about, so like you referenced asbestos, right? Like we're not going to evaluate hazardous materials in your existing building. If I recall correctly, you guys did have some concern about like water testing of the groundwater.
Yeah, so we asked for additional pricing in areas like geotechnical services, possible environmental testing, and then infiltration testing, I think is what you're referring to.
Yes, that's what I was referring to.
And I don't anticipate infiltration or environmental being needed. Geotechnical, as you know, has to happen. And so the city has a choice to do those on their own. Or that's why I asked for the alternative pricing. If there's not much savings, quite honestly, I'd rather let you do it.
Well,
So,
and we'd be happy to take that on for you. So typically we don't do the environmental, we don't do the water infiltration because
Right.
those are owner supplied items usually. And when it comes to geotechnical, this is where you get traditionally a little clash of opinions. Like on one hand, you're like, yeah, if it's not saving us a whole bunch, you take care of it. From an owner's perspective, and I'll put myself in your chair a second, you want that to be a third-party representation, honest opinion of what's going on here. So that they're not being skewed by the contractor, they're not being skewed by the design team. They are your experts that give the direction to the design team. So it's recommended that those become owner-supplied items, just to try and eliminate any, issues or the appearance of issues. But we certainly have. We probably do the geotechnical on 20% of our projects. So we can certainly have that included. Anything to add to that?
Commissioner Calhoun.
I just want to clarify one thing. The 6.2% is how you came to the total bid amount figure. Would that change if the project, God forbid, went above? Or is it?
That is not how your RFP cost proposal was set up. So I have to say no, it wouldn't change. We prefer that it does, but assuming it falls within the range that you stated, then no, we wouldn't assume an adjustment to that. Now, if we turn around and the project comes in at 20 million as opposed to
Based on
the range.
your direction.
Right, not because we picked
Not
gold
'cause we screwed things
toilets
up.
or anything. Yeah.
Slap a helo pad on top.
That's
Right.
important. That's an important clarification. I appreciate it. So yeah, no, we wouldn't anticipate a price change. That's a hard number that we committed to. We based it on the 13 million, but we understand the recognized or the stated range that you guys had. And if we're operating in that range, there's no change from our part.
Thank you.
All right. How do you manage the project budget to avoid scope creep and cost overruns during both design and construction?
So we're going to put ourselves in your perspective because we actually think cost is one of the scariest things of this particular project. It's the scariest part of any renovation project. And I'll kind of shift it over to these guys after saying just a quick piece. We think the way to mitigate that risk, that scary risk, is to put a far greater emphasis up front on verifying the existing conditions. The scariest part of a renovation is what are you going to find when you tear open a wall? And we think there just needs to be a lot of additional exploration up front, especially when you're talking about a vacant building where we can do a little bit of exploration without disturbing, say, a business that's in operation. So we think a far higher emphasis on those things up front to identify existing conditions will give this team, your team, a far greater certainty about what those costs are going to be. And anything, I'm sure there's stuff to clarify on that.
I think in addition to that, it's BKV standard policy, and we've kind of implemented that in the projects we've done with this group, is to be, very robust with those early phases. So rather than trying to be bare bones and low budget, as we're talking through these early phases and trying to figure out kind of what it's going to look like and how it's going to feel, we want to get as much information as possible from you in the earliest possible phases and put that on paper so that when we're doing cost estimating work, we're basing this off of a well thought through, highly detailed package. And that allows us to get into another level of detail or an extra level of detail in the cost estimating, right? We're not just saying, okay, well, you guys have sketched out some floor plans and maybe what the exterior is going to look like for this building. But there's not a whole lot of detail here. So we're going to say, in this part of the state, we're going to peg a renovation at $232 a square foot. And then we're going to peg new construction at, $406 a square foot. And that's what we're going to say. We want to be able to say, even in those earliest phases, no, this is the amount of work that you're actually doing. You have X number of walls, you have Y amount of carpet, you have Z amount of light fixtures, and we're putting numbers to those rather than just being very generic about it. So by being more aggressive about the information we're pulling from you guys in those very early phases, and then documenting on the package in those very early phases, we can do a much better cost estimate, a much more detailed cost estimate. That'll keep us from getting into trouble in the future phases. Now, I will say that part of the process is going to be value engineering, because we want to show you like an optimal facility, and you might come to the end of that schematic design phase, and the optimal facility that's really going to meet your programmatic needs for the next 50 years. The sheriff's super happy, the fire department's super happy, city hall staff is super happy, and it's $18 million because things kind of grew and grew and grew. Sometimes the process involves walking that back a little bit and saying, okay, the optimal facility is $18 million. We can't afford that. This is where we can save some money. We'll walk it back a little bit to get to that point. But again, the more information and the more detail we can get into in that upfront phase, the better able we're going to be to make accurate, informed, conscious decisions about what the path forward is for the city. I'm going to turn it over a little bit, because there's also, from the mechanical electrical perspective, there's wide variety of cost differences between your cheaper systems and your more expensive systems, and we'll talk about all that too.
Yeah, from an MEP standpoint, I'll try to be brief too, but going back to the field work that Brandon talked about, everyone, you can see everything in here, but we like to get the ladders out, look above the ceiling, and get clearances. If you're gonna raise the ceiling, you'd be surprised what's all up above those ceilings in terms of pipes, ductwork, VAV boxes. We wanna get all those details because A, can we reuse it? B, what height do we have for the new systems, right? So that's important. But going back to what systems we look at, we have to be in budget, but we want to give you the options available. So I kind of going back to the HVAC systems. Can we do a VAV system with boiler heat? Do we have the budget to do that? Obviously, that's optimized control. You get more thermostats, you get more control. But if we cannot afford that the budget's not going to allow that, well, let's do packaged rooftop units with enough zoning control that we've got those interior exterior zones, and we can make a very comfortable system, but an affordable system with the budget too. So just some things to add. So
Excellent.
Thank you,
Commissioner Fournier.
Okay, public engagement. What is your experience holding town halls to garner public input, and how were you able to incorporate their feedback into the design?
I'm going to defer this one to Craig. I know he and his team have a lot more extensive experience in doing that. Some of it's been mentioned already, but go ahead.
I enjoy getting feedback from all sorts of different people. We're going to take our lead from you. Some projects do not feel like the public has a lot of opinions about them, and we can just move forward. Other projects, our clients want a robust community engagement process. Either that's about getting the information out to the general public, or it's about kind of meeting and open house scenarios or public meetings or whatever, and soliciting feedback about specific things. We've done all sorts of things. We've done websites, we've done direct mailers, we've done open houses, we've done community meetings, we've gone to neighborhood meetings, we've done all sorts of stuff. We'll talk to you about the options and what makes sense from Mount Clemens. If you think that there is maybe some hesitation on the part of the community about spending the money to do this sort of thing, or maybe people aren't understanding like what's wrong with the existing facilities, then having open houses here and across the parking lot and saying, these are the conditions in these facilities. This is why we think it's appropriate to consider a new facility. Like, we can consolidate some things. We don't have duplicated mechanical systems, electrical systems. Maybe there's some savings there. We can present all the information in a very kind of even-handed, fact-based manner to the general public, and let them draw the same conclusions that the rest of us have drawn. Essentially, that probably this needs to happen. But we've gone even so far as to saying, oh, hey, like, what color scheme do you like? Do you think or we've got a couple different options for the exterior of the building that, we would love community input on and things like that. So we will take cues from you guys as to what the appropriate course of action is. But we can present you a ton of different ideas for you to pick from.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner McGarity.
Risk management and unknown conditions. What potential unknowns or risk concern you most about a project like this? If unforeseen conditions are discovered, how would you address them while minimizing schedule and budget impacts?
All right, so I'll take that one, and we kind of touched on it already a bit, right? Like, anytime you're endeavoring to renovate an existing building, having the most accurate information possible about the existing as-built conditions is the number one priority. I was involved in a project a couple of years ago. It was a 2-story renovation of an existing building. There was an adjacent warehouse area and a 2-story office space. We had particularly good as-builts that were handed over to us by the owner, and they chose not to do any additional investigation. They said these are good. So the entire project, which included a locker room renovation, a fitness area for the offices with showers, 2 break areas for employees, was designed based on the idea that this little line on a piece of paper was indeed a 2.5-inch water pipe that was 36 feet up in the air. And no one checked it because from 36 feet, yeah, that looks like 2.5 inches. It turns out that was a 2-inch pipe. And that meant that everything that had been designed and committed to on paper was not going to be properly supported, and that whether they intended to or not, everything was going to be eco-friendly because it wasn't going to have enough water to push through the thing. And so they found themselves in a position where they were spending $60,000 unexpectedly in the first week of the project. And that to me is the biggest, scariest risk in a project like this. So that's why our focus as a team would be to verify as many of those existing conditions as possible. Now, to answer the second part of your question, as much as you can try to avoid those things up front, it's a renovation and you're not going to destroy every wall and expose every potential thing. Something's going to happen, something's going to come up. How do you deal with it? The answer is head on. And it's open communication, identify it early, and figure out what it is. I think we all have to recognize from the outset that there's going to be something that comes up. And I don't want to be part of a situation where we're like, well, how can we cover this up? I'm not worried about that. The fact of the matter is, if you know it ahead of time and you're dealing with it ahead of time, that's the best way to get through it. Additionally, I think it's responsible from a budgeting standpoint to recognize some of those variables and unknowns and carry something of a contingency. And so, like, just from you have to assume. Now, the risk of a contingency is people changing their mind on a project early on and spending it because they want to, and then getting to the end of a project and encountering an issue and your contingency's gone. So being disciplined about how that contingency is expended is equally as important.
Thank you.
Commissioner North.
Okay. Last, defining success from your perspective. What will a successful outcome look like? And then the second thing is, what distinguishes your firm from others that we're interviewing tonight? What's the takeaway you want us to have?
Well, I can run a lot faster than a manual.
Poor Manuel.
Sorry to see him walk out. I was wondering what happened to the poor guy.
We beat him up just a little.
Yeah. I should have asked him if he was on crutches before he walked in. We're all in the same community. Using that as an example, I didn't know who you guys had in here, right? But I was not shocked to see a friend of mine walk out the door. A successful project to me is one that you guys are happy with 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and that we have a reputation for having performed well. so that when I encounter my peers, they're like, hey, sorry we didn't get that one. You did get it. Did a great job with it. Happy to see it. And we have that sort of support in the community, and it's good to have. And I think we've put ourselves in a position with the proper expertise between Matrix, BKV, and the rest of the team to ensure that you guys should walk out of this with a level of confidence that you put a great team forward with a level of knowledge and expertise that puts your public safety in the right place, puts the priorities of servicing the community, the businesses, the residents at the forefront of your decision making.
Okay. All right, does anybody have anything additional that maybe came up in the wondering? All right, well, we hope that, oh, sorry, didn't tell me. Oh, okay. We're hoping that, at the end of our evening tonight, after we have all four firms interview, we kind of have a clear way forward. We're hoping to move the process along. We have a meeting on Tuesday. We may have discussion, we may have a vote. Sure. We'll see. But we appreciate your time. We appreciate your effort that you put towards this project. And thank you so much for really presenting this to us tonight. We're thankful, and we're very excited about the project and this opportunity.
You should be. It's an exciting thing. I mean, I live in Livonia. I was on the Livonia City Council for 8 years. During that time, we built the Livonia DPW. Maureen Brosnan, who's our current mayor, we were on council together. We were the ones pushing for the master plan, and she's trying to get a new city hall right now. I understand how hard it is to do what you guys are doing. And from your perspective, we're here to help as much as possible. We understand, we don't understand the micro elements of your political ramifications, but I understand the pressures that are involved. I would say our closing thought is that Craig has studied the floor plan. Craig has studied the designs to a point where I couldn't get him to be quiet about the 8 things that he would like, do this, do that, do that. And I think we would love the opportunity to share those with you and, in our minds, potentially improve the project.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, we appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Safe travels back, you guys, and have a good night.
You guys have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Sorry, guys, I'm just.
Where did you see the order of presentation?
Okay.
I have a quick recommendation.
Who's in that?
If we can't decide on that one that rises to the top by tomorrow afternoon, can we at least eliminate and each of us come up with 2 that we want to move forward?
Sure.
Because that kind of cuts it in half.
Yep.
If everybody's kind of in agreement.
I like that. Take it down to the finals.
Sure.
That's going to be easier.
Does that, you feel better about that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good with it. I'm good with it. It's great. Good. Yeah.
And we're getting
Excellent.
closer to back on time.
Yeah.
Ready, Miss Elaine?
Yeah, I think we're ready. Yep.
It's because we had 10 minutes built in between second and third.
Yeah.
Next time, let's build like a 15-minute at the front end before the first bid
Yeah.
comes in.
That's a good idea.
We need some coffee next time too.
You need coffee.
I'm going down.
We just did the math, yeah.
Yeah. Coffee break. Brenda Blackett. Hello. Hi, gentlemen. Hello. We'll let you guys get situated. If you both want to, we've had everyone just kind of come up to the podium. And,
Sure, yep.
yeah. And so while you're getting situated, we can kind of explain the process. So tonight we have each commissioner will be asking you a question. They've asked that same question to each of the firms that are presenting tonight. So we're trying to create the same environment so that it's a fair process for everyone. And we each have one question. We're trying to keep the interviews to close to 30 minutes, of course, and trying to run on time here.
Sure.
But we may have follow-up questions, of course, and we're really appreciative of your time tonight.
Absolutely. Well, we're happy to be here. Thank you. Glad to be still in this process.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Nice touch.
All right. Okay. I don't know if you guys want to maybe first just introduce yourself, tell us firm and
Sure.
Okay, I think we're good.
Alrighty, well, good evening. Thank you very much for your time this evening and for allowing us to interview tonight. My name is Salvatore with Auger Klein Auger Architects. An associate, been with the firm for 13 years. And if we were honored to be awarded this project, I would be your day-to-day personnel as a project manager on this project. And with me,
I'm Brad Klein. I'm one of the principals of the firm. I've been with AKA since essentially its inception. I was Steve Auger, our founding principal's first employee. And in 2017, we formed the current partnership with myself and Christopher Aller and Steve. But we've been around for 30 years. We have a pretty diverse portfolio, but over the last 15, 20 years, we've really a large segment of our work is municipal and government-related facilities. We also have a pretty extensive religious, faith-based project portfolio, do some residential, but again, in commercial, we're a pretty generalist firm, but right now our focus is mainly on municipal and religious work.
we're excited to be here and talk about your new project, your new home. This building has served great use for you and your staff in the community, but we would agree that is much need for a new home and a new place. And we're excited to be part of this interview and answer any questions you guys have for us.
Excellent, thank you. Commissioner Rick, you want to go ahead and start the process? Please?
Thank you very much. First, would you outline your overall approach to designing and delivering this project from initial assessment through construction and provide a realistic timeline for the design phase?
Sure.
So, as kind of outlined in our proposal, we break down the phases from initial assessment, schematic design, design development, construction documents, bidding, and construction admin. And we in the proposal we have a schedule of agendas, essentially kind of marching through each phase. So we find that helpful, or we find that very beneficial to the groups we work with to understand what we're going to be talking about and what decisions need to be made when. So that we try to, one of our focuses is to communicate and to document and to make sure everybody's on the same page and understands, where we're going and where we've been. So I don't know if you want to.
Sure. Yep. So in terms of scheduling, we understand that the RFP has expressed a completion date of construction drawings of roughly a 14-week duration. In our proposal, we have broke down schematic design at 8 weeks, design development at 8 weeks, and construction documents at 12 weeks, for a total of 28 weeks worth of work. From our experience with municipal buildings, we recently did Orion Townships completing new township hall and sheriff substation. For the phases to do each phase done correctly, we think 28 weeks of time is appropriate for decision-making to happen. Approvals from site plan approval to board approvals to getting the community, what community involvements we want to get, to the department director's involvement. We want this process to be done right the first time, and we want to make sure that it's not rushed and not anything overseen throughout the process.
And I think if you review that schedule of agenda, you'll see it's not like there's a meeting that there isn't a lot to talk about or a lot to decide. So, it's our job to bring the information and make those decisions hopefully easier for you, or at least confident for you. But there's just a lot of steps. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of groups to consider. There's just a lot of hurdles that we're going to go through. That we just, we feel the 28-week process is certainly more realistic than, I know everybody's excited to get to the new home, but 28 weeks is a lot more reasonable, we feel.
Yep. And also phases could happen simultaneously, like site plan approval and design development could happen in the same phase. But we also want to make sure we include the proper amount of time for the approval phases and meetings needed.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Commissioner Calhoun.
Please describe your firm's experience of public safety and municipal projects, particularly retrofit or renovation projects, similar in scope and complexity to this one.
Sure. So right now, last year we completed a master plan facility assessment for Shelby Township. for their township hall. Last year, we got awarded to do a new community center and band shell building as phase 1 of their master plan. And this year, we are working now at renovations of their township hall, reassessing where the clerk specifically goes within the building. Their building department and the assessing department are super crammed and need more space. So we are working with them as we speak on providing a better sense of their space. Now, they're not doing a new building, a new home like you guys are. They're staying within their existing building. So it's going to be a tactics of how we approach the building needs to stay occupied and how their departments flow within their space. We also did a huge Orion Township project, brand new development. With that project, they were in a older home, so to speak, that they outgrew and did expansions. We did a lot of facility assessment studies, interviews, community engagements. The outcome of that result was not a renovation of an existing building. It was a new standalone complex, sheriff substation, township hall, completely brand new building for Orion Township.
And we worked on a number of Oakland County sheriff substations. Similar, while it was a sheriff station, you're looking at a fire station. They're two related functions, but when you with first responders, police, or fire, there's also complexity there. They've got to be able to function while being part of a public complex, if you will. So we've, I think, successfully crossed all those hurdles, and we've all of our projects have had a certain level of safety requirement. Unfortunately, the world we live in today, there's a lot of considerations. The Orion Township project that we talk about, you don't want to go into it feeling like it's this ultra secure prison, if you will. You want to have it inviting to the community you're serving. But there's a lot of passive ways to create that safety, especially for staff, where in Orion Township we did a lot of screened egress pathways behind or within the staff spaces that people can communicate between the spaces but not be necessarily interacting with the public or have to. There's, the boardroom, there's always the bullet resistant panels and things like that are just all these components that all work into part of that safety program.
In terms of fire experience, because I know this project obviously includes a new fire station, we did Orion Township Fire Station 1 and 2. We also just got hired by Independence Township, by Chuck Pyle, their township supervisor, to do a brand new station, Fire Station 2, by the music venue.
Oh, Pine Knob.
Pine Knob, thank you. Drawing a blank. Right by Pine Knob there. We're doing a new fire station for Chuck. And we're also looking at a potential property across the street from there to do a new sheriff substation. So those are two new projects we just got last week for Independence Township that we're excited to embark that journey with them. So we definitely have a lot of fire hall experience as well as township halls.
Thank you.
And sheriff substations. So we did Orion Townships and now we're doing Independence.
All right. Commissioner Brown.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm going to ask you about fee structure and cost transparency.
Sure.
Can you walk us through how you developed your fee proposal, including any anticipated reimbursables or travel expenses, and what services are not included in your base fee? I think I do remember you guys having a list.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And what circumstances would trigger additional services?
Mm-hmm. Certainly. So when we look at pricing a project, we look at overall scope and budget. We know there's a range, and that number will get dialed in anywhere from 11.8 to 14.2. So we start there, and then we also dig into the scope and understand, what is our time based on our experience and in similar projects to develop, the time commitment on our part and understanding those complexities, those number of meetings, that's all time that goes into the fee. Our goal is always to, the fee we give you is the fee that we're not going to be coming back for extras. The only time that would come into play is if there's a clear addition of scope, if scope changes, or there's some rework to already completed and approved drawing. So say we get through the schematic design phase, we're moving into design development, but for whatever reason, whether it's scope related or a different idea becomes a strong idea or a request from our client, you know, and we have to go back and maybe revise some things. You know, little things are never a big deal, but if it's, you know, significant changes, that's when, you know, we would, you know, require some additional fee. But in general, the fee we provide is, we're not looking to, you know, come in with a low fee and then, you know, everything's an extra. In terms of the list of services that are not included or would be considered additional, the major ones there would be, I would say, the IT, data, security system design. So a lot of times municipalities have vendors they're already working with, systems. Part of our fee is to incorporate or coordinate that into our design, but we're not necessarily designing that system. We can certainly get a consultant involved if so need be, but like I said, most municipalities have somebody they work with, and it's more of just how we're integrating that system into our design. Similarly, furniture, FF&E, that's another one. Again, we'll coordinate and help coordinate that, but we're not, right now in our fee, we don't have the designer selection and specification of the furniture in the fee. You know, the other stuff are, you know, incidentals or, you know, soil borings and things like that. Those are more, you know, owner expenses. As far as reimbursables, you know, it's usually any printing costs. That's usually the main reimbursable that we have. So if we have to submit 20 sets for planning, you know, to the planning commission for site plan approval, it's typically those type of reimbursable expenses. Travel, you're located locally to us, what we consider locally to us, so we don't have any travel expenses. That's all kind of baked into our overhead, which, you know, is the fee that's in front of you. So it's really, for the most part, printing costs. There's usually not a whole lot, and a lot of things are digital now. So we've seen our printing costs come down quite a bit, depending on how a particular municipality, you know, handles their approval processes.
Do we hit all the points? And there was like four. I'm sure.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rick, didn't you MapQuest there? Well, forgive my age.
Oh, yeah, because it said, your proposal said outside of 50. And I'm like, wait, it's exactly 50.
Oh, no, I think it was 20
You're local,
or
okay.
something. Yeah.
Or whatever the number was. We
it
were like
was
exactly
close,
at the
though.
number.
Yeah.
In
we were
terms
right
of
on the dot.
our billing invoicing, we usually, whatever phase we're in, you know, it's a progress. We bill monthly, so you can always see the progress of where we're at, you know. So if we're 50% through schematic design, it's really easy to track where we're at any given time in a project. So if there is a potential pause or in the development, you know, that it's very clear, because we do invoice monthly, and it's based on work completed. So,
Yeah, so servicing this project, we would not have any reimbursables for travel.
So you did not include anything in your proposal for the geotechnical?
We did.
You did?
Yes, we do have surveying and
No, I'm
geotechnical.
sorry.
Yes.
Speaking in generalities of what
Yes.
typically, but I know that was
Our
part
proposal
of the
does
Okay.
include
Yes,
full
so yes.
geotechnical and surveying.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Not the soil boring.
That's part, that's
Soil
part of
borings,
it.
yes.
Yeah, yes.
Soil borings are included in our
Okay.
proposal, yes.
So they are included?
Yeah.
They are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Soil
your
borings
proposals have all three, but they
Yes.
were asked to submit them
separately, yes.
Okay.
But
But
they
I
are-
didn't notice that separate cost
Yeah, it's in there.
for the,
You guys asked for a separate line item for it,
Yeah.
but in our total number,
Yeah.
it's included in there.
okay.
So soil borings, site surveying, all of that civil engineering scope is included in there. And that's what would be needed for your new addition. We would need those soil borings
Okay.
to design the
Makes sense.
foundations for your new fire station.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. All right. I'm going to talk to you about budget management and cost control. And you've kind of touched on some of this already, but how will you manage the project budget to avoid scope creep and cost overruns during both design and construction?
Sure. So the first thing that comes to my mind in terms of managing budget is, so there's definitely a lot of benefits going from schematic design, design development to construction drawings. Between each phase, we would highly recommend bringing a construction manager on board at design development. Construction manager brings in the expertise of managing the project cost and schedule. So as we are designing and we are engineering, they are at the table with us and with you all, whoever the directors or the point of contacts is. So they're hearing the design, the decision-making that's happening. At the completion of schematic design, there would be a price check to make sure we're in budget and that you guys are comfortable with the budget. Prior to us moving forward with design development, that number is reviewed and approved. We move on to design development. At design development, we would discuss, are we in the right track of budget, or do we need to do value engineering items, whether that's reduction of the programming or systems. So the goal is that by time construction drawings are completed, the expectations of budget is defined and it's real. And the end of construction drawings, we are not looking at each other in terms of having to do redesigns, redrawings, or looking at the different project in a different way. So the phasing that you guys have broken down is a very common phase, and it's a proven method to allow us to get to the end of the construction drawing phase before a shovel in the ground for us to know that the project is within budget.
Right, outside of any unforeseen conditions. So.
And one, if you want to call it a risk factor in terms of your guys' is anytime you're renovating existing building, when we start tearing down ceilings or walls, there's always some unknowns that we might encounter that we cannot predict for. So those are usually covered within a contingency. So a construction manager will identify a contingency. During schematic design, we usually have a 50% contingency. Design development goes down to 10 because more and more of the project's been defined. And then once construction starts, there's a comfort level. And so maybe you guys have a standard that you guys must have 10% or 5% construction contingency, but the contingency is used for those unforeseen conditions. And then when you're attaching a new building to an existing building, getting out of the ground, getting the foundations out of the ground, and that connection is the biggest risk that we see in terms of scope creep or money, going in a different direction.
Yeah, and again, we can certainly track budget. We're involved in that, and we do have architects and designers will be more on a cost per square foot. That's why we really recommend bringing, delivery of a construction management company that is also the constructor, just because again, they have their thumb on that pulse and they know they're buying stuff every day. We're getting things based on last project data, the current publications, which are not real time necessarily. So we know where things are. We have a general pulse, but to really dial in, and they're just a great teammate to have, because as we start talking about things or changes or talk about scope creep, they're there to raise the hand and raise the red flag, saying, "Well, we do this now. We're pushing the budget, et cetera." And I know in your concept design, they have a contingency. They included that in kind of that number. So, we're looking at the same things and considering the same things, but it's, just best practices is what we employ and what we recommend, and hopefully everybody agrees.
Thank you.
Okay. My question is on public engagement. What is your experience holding town halls to garner public input, and how were you able to incorporate the feedback into the design?
So we've been involved in town halls a lot in Lake Orion and Orion Township. Obviously, what people want, they just want to be heard. When you open up a town hall, a lot of people say, "Well, now we're going to have 100 opinions, 200 opinions, and how do you sort through that?" What we try to do is kind of get our arms around the conversation and direct the conversation. So you're not picking from a unlimited number of solutions, but we're focusing it to A, B, and C or something like that. So it's important, again, for people to be heard. At least they've been able to say their piece and it was considered. Everybody knows they're not, their idea may not get into the final solution. But what we like to do is, through town halls or even online surveys, get that data, and at least you can then see where most of the votes are, where the majority vote was, and you have kind of that in your back pocket to say, well, the majority of people liked, this design decision or that selection, and it's just a way to build consensus. That's why when we started out in the religious project realm, a lot of building committees, so it's all about how to get everybody on the same page and consensus. So again, you want everybody to be at least be able to be heard, and then it's our job to kind of make sure that we're directing traffic, if you will, so that we're not just talking about anything under the sun. We're talking about what are the true solution options and finding where there's commonality or support. So again, we're a strong believer in surveys and those town halls just to get that read.
Surveys is a good tool because it grabs a lot of people in a very short period of time. We've been very successful with surveys for Shelby Township, Independence Township. We're doing one for Everest Academy. And it gets a lot of voices in a very short period of time. And from our experience, there's a lot of value that comes through community input and really knowing what your community is looking for and wanting. So town hall meetings are great, surveys are great, and it gets the residents excited and it makes them feel part of the project. And we highly value that process. And appreciate that you guys are considering that, because we would recommend that at our kickoff meeting.
Okay. It's really about clear communication, like everything in life, and we pride ourselves in being able to communicate clearly, whether it's drawings, facts, information, renderings, that anybody can understand, so that everybody's confident about the decisions being made and what's truly being provided.
Thank you.
Commissioner McGarity.
This is risk management and unknown conditions. Excuse me. What potential unknowns or risk concern you most about a project like this? If unforeseen conditions are discovered, how would you address them while minimizing schedule and budget impacts?
So the first thing I mentioned just briefly, we would recommend to get the soil borings done early on in the project, specifically for the addition of the fire station, that we identify the soil conditions. So those foundations can be designed early up front, and then we're not talking about the water table levels or soil condition levels deeper into the project. In terms of where I'd mentioned about renovation of an existing building, truly taking the time to understand the bones and structure of that building is important early on. So when demolition is happening, that we're minimizing as much as possible the unknowns that we can't see with our physical eye. Is really important in terms of your specific project of a renovation of an existing building as well as an addition to that building.
Yeah, so I think, all the initial survey information and maybe some, initial discovery or, dig a hole next to the existing building's foundation just to kind of see what we have, just so, try to limit the number of surprises. Construction, something always comes up. I've never been on a project where it just went as planned from A to Z and everything happened in order. And but we're a very nimble firm. We have a great consultants, so all our experience and have seen kind of pretty much everything. I mean, we get surprised once in a while with a new thing, but in general, we're usually able to find a solution pretty readily. And that's where, again, if we have a construction manager on the team too, that can also speak to pricing so that, we can really weigh all the different factors. But again, we like to do a in-depth assessment and understand really what we're getting into as much as we can. And I think everything that's you've included in the request for the RFP, we're covering all the bases. So, I think we'll be, there's an existing building there. It's been standing there, hasn't had really any issues. So I don't think we're going to be exceptionally surprised, but again, the soil borings will still be important. Because I've been on a property, we made it Swiss cheese and it was all great. And the one place where one footing went where we didn't have a boring, that was the one bad spot on the site. So, you run into that. But again, we solved the problem, and there wasn't a huge cost implication. And again, it's about coming up with that solution quickly and, soundly, so that, we're not saying, well, now we have a month delay to construction, because that's really where the cost will come into play is, general conditions and things like that. So we want to keep the contractors moving as much as possible. So
I think it's really important that the schematic design, the first process, is done thoroughly and properly to avoid issues down the road. So that we take our time to investigate the building, that with the proper schematics have been done, the proper investigations, the proper soils, surveying, etc. is done during that schematic design phase to alleviate the headaches of those meetings to follow.
Thank you.
Okay, the last question is about success. So from your perspective, what does a successful outcome look like? And the second part of the question would be, what distinguishes your firm from others that we're talking to tonight?
Sure. Success to us is, on time, on budget. That's always our goal with every project. Speaking to that, we're a design firm. We're designers at heart. We like to have fun, and we try to make this process as enjoyable and fun for everyone we're working for. Construction and these types of projects are a lot of work, a lot of decisions to be made, a lot of stress, but we try, again, to burden more of that, so you get to make the decisions, but you're armed with all the information, and you're not guessing. So it's successful. Again, we're on time, on budget, and really the biggest one is that sometime in the future you call us back because you want us to do another project. So we value our clients, and we value our repeat clients. That's something we strive for.
Majority of our business is repeat clients, which I think is a huge testimony to what we provide them and the value we provide them. Most of our clients are repeat business. On the back of that sheet, it tells you all the projects we've done, and multiple municipalities continues to call us back. In terms of answering the question on what sets us aside from other firms, we're really big on unique design solutions for each individual project. Not every township, not every police station, not every fire station, we feel should be designed the same way, depending on your guys' program, your guys' community, your guys' the input of the community. But we are strongly value that there's a unique design solution to every single project.
We want to reflect our clients' character and sensibilities, not ours. It's your building, not ours. And to the point of I just lost my train of thought.
Unique design.
Yeah, we're a design firm, but we're also a relationship firm. Every time we enter a project, we feel we're entering a relationship, and we'd like to see that relationship as long as our firm's around. In one way, we don't plan on. We've been around for 30 years. We don't plan on going anywhere. So whenever there's an issue, clients call us all the time. What do you think about this? Our phone lines are always open, and we're the 5-cent advice booth. So again, we value our relationships because we want to get to know who we're working for so that we can serve them appropriately.
One of the greatest compliments I think we continuously get is that we listen to our clients. And I think that's very important that we do. There are some firms or some architects that might have a bigger ego, and they'll come to a meeting and then they'll do what they want to do because that's what they feel is appropriate. But one thing we would truly value is listening to our clients, listening to the community, and hearing what they really need and what they really want out of the outcome. And then me being on this project, I will guarantee you that I will listen, and we will make sure we deliver that expectation across the board.
Thank you.
Can I ask you, what you said that they've done 8 projects for Macomb County? What have you done for
Yes, for Macomb County, we're working a lot with Ben Treppa. So actually right down the street from you, we're working renovations of the prosecutor's office, the treasurer's office, and the executive office right down the street. We also did an early child care project. in Clinton Township. They were actually looking at another location on Hall Road and by Macomb Community College for early child care facility. We're also doing some study at the parking garage here. There's some
Making
some leaks. There's some leaks in that parking garage, as well as the DPW issues there. That's just a handful of projects, but we've done quite a bit of work for Macomb.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And quite a tremendous amount for Oakland County. We've been the preferred architect for quite some time. And then we mentioned Orion Township.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We are very excited about this project, and we're very anxious to get things rolling. So we do have a commission meeting on Tuesday.
Okay.
We anticipate at least discussion, probably at least narrowing it down to some candidates. But yes, you will definitely hear some information from us very soon. And thank you so much. We really appreciate all of the work that you've put into the project already, and the time tonight. It was very insightful, and I think we all feel like we have a greater grasp of the scope of everything and how this is all going to begin.
Good.
So,
Sure.
So thank you very much.
Are there any other questions or comments or confusion or anything to clarify? I did have brought a computer to show you guys a walkthrough of Orion Township, but I'm not sure how much time is left.
We probably don't tonight,
All right.
but yeah, hopefully we'll get that opportunity.
Alrighty.
But I also
Quite a few pictures here.
we do have contact information in case anybody has any questions.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
for sure. Yes. Reach out. Don't hesitate. We're here to you know.
The original email that we were invited to this email was myself and Steve Auger.
Awesome.
So you're welcome to email us any questions you guys have.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I wish you luck on this.
Thank you.
I think you can't make a bad decision, but I think you can make a really great one.
That's a good pitch.
Have a good night.
Take care, guys. Safe travels. All right.
How many people are in the next group?
I don't know, but it sounds like there's a party going on down there. Wow.
They're partying the whole front.
No, they might have brought the whole
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know. Elaine's hanging out out there.
I was like, this
They
was
bring
Elaine was serving.
I know.
Yeah, I was gonna go up and say.
Yeah.
It was getting a little hot.
No, it's not. I just feel bad. I can tell you. I can tell your eyes.
How many people were
Yeah.
like a party bus out there? Seriously?
Oh, yeah, 38 or something.
The whole,
Started last.
at least 10?
Gotcha. Yeah, I think we're good, right? Are we good?
Which one is
Or
this?
did you guys need to walk out, or are you
Oh,
good?
bring them in.
Yeah, I could do it.
You can do it? Okay.
Yeah,
All
let's-
right, go ahead, Elaine, thank you. Yep, we can do it.
Yeah.
Just in case. Got it there just in case.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I needed.
It's solid as a night out.
Oh, yeah. I
Jet
got it.
lag?
And only one person walks in.
I know, I'm like, come on, there's gotta be more than that.
Was he out there?
Oh my gosh.
I kept trying to say, be quiet. They might be able to hear you in there.
It's funny. We expected the whole firm.
We got about 2/3.
Oh,
Were
okay.
you really expecting us all?
No.
No,
We heard we were expecting them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we brought the team.
Okay. We figured
You guys don't get out much and you
No, we were late, honestly. So we had dinner at the office and we walked over.
we walked over. I love it. I like it.
Very few young people walked over yet. We're not going to do complete introductions, so don't worry.
Okay.
That would be cool.
Well,
We're all
we'll
gonna
let
keep
you
it
get-
10 minutes each, is that okay?
Yeah.
You are last, you know.
So we'll let you guys all come on in, and then there really was a party out there.
Sorry, we tried to keep it down.
That's okay. That's okay. So we will let you all get settled. We'll kind of try to give you the scope of what we're gonna do, and then so this is so funny.
You guys all come back for our regularly scheduled meeting, so you'll have a full audience.
Great.
Oh, that's funny.
I feel like it's like a clown car, you know, they keep coming. All right. So thank you all for coming in. You're our last interview of the evening, and we're obviously we kept the familiar faces for the last interview. So we are going to keep the process that the first 3 interviews the same. So each commissioner has a question assigned to them, and they asked the first 3 firms the same questions, trying to keep it as fair as possible in a transparent process. So we tried to keep it to a 30-minute interview. And so, you know, we probably don't want everyone to introduce themselves from the firm.
Yeah, we're not.
I know. And so we just will give you a chance to introduce. And although we are familiar, but we do have a new commissioner who wasn't in the beginning of the process when with the rendering. So I'll turn it over to you, Mike.
Perfect, thank you. And we'll keep it short and sweet, I promise.
It's okay.
Mike Malone, partners in architecture, principal in the firm.
David Gasson, principal in the firm also.
Darren McKenna, studio director.
And we have 2 of our key engineers who are also Mount Clemens businesses. You guys stand up, please.
Yep. Mike Harris, principal Unified Building Systems.
Dave Littlefield, principal Unified Building Systems.
So we built a solid team comprised mainly of Mount Clemens businesses because, you know, this is Mount Clemens. We're all here for you. We brought part of our office. Everybody couldn't make it, so we apologize for that. But we wanted to show our commitment to the city and support for your project.
Okay, very good. Well, go ahead.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
So the first question, outline your overall approach to designing and delivering this project from initial assessment through construction and provide a realistic timeline for the design phase.
Okay, you take the design piece, I'll take the schedule piece.
Okay. Well, it's a pretty scripted process for us. It's outlined in our proposal in general. However, this project, we could hit the ground running because we have a fair amount of expertise already built into the project. We understand the building quite well. We understand the programming needs that you have quite well, but I'll say we need to dig deeper on that. So the programming would be the first step. That happens in a lot of different ways. We sent out surveys initially, got back some information, but we'd like to have a lot more one-on-one with the individual user groups from the city sheriff as well as fire. So there's a lot more information to be gained for that. Although we do have a fair amount of that already. So that's step 1 is the programming process. And that happens in a workshop setting or individual interviews. Like I said, some surveys will probably take place too. The next is concept design. We really, again, have a lot of that already completed. And what we showed you in our studies report was really maybe 1 of 10 different things we looked at. So there are a fair amount of others that we could revisit just because we didn't have a lot of interaction about good, bad, what we did previously. So I think there's going to be a couple of more work sessions, and we call those things charrettes. So we're going to have a discovery charrette, which we didn't have in our first step. We have it could be open to the public, could be really user group, it could be commission level, but it's a really roll up your sleeves kind of a meeting where we talk about what are the big broad opportunities for this project. Following that, we're going to take the information we gain from it and create some vignettes or what are the ideas we gained. And then we'll come back for an exploratory charrette. That's where we really dig a little deeper into each one of the areas within the building for sheriff, for the city hall functions, as well as for the fire. So from there, we'll leap into the schematic design, which is that where we really engage engineering more heavily, where we're looking at the existing building systems that would be part of the additions and how they integrate to each other. And when we're looking at that, it's function for one, but it's also comfort and operation for you. And then the bottom line is budget, because there's always different ways to do it. We want to make sure we're maximizing all 3 of those things, your comfort, the system integration, and how it works in budget. From there, we'll go into a design development phase, and it's very clear cut. We stop at a design schematic, we kind of all sign off on it, and move into the next phase, which is development. And in that one, it's a lot more one-on with the user groups. So we'll have something we call room data sheets where we're looking at an individual room. What happens in that space, not like the department, but a room within that department. What are the outlets? What's the data? What's the technology that goes in there? And what's the furnishings and the finishes? So that's through a conversation that's documented in real time during that meeting. So people that are in the meeting, they walk away with a real clear understanding of what's going to be in that space. And they're collected through all the different areas of the building. And that's what we share with the user groups as well as with the engineering team. So there is no real slippage of information. That's really a communicating kind of a tool. And then at the end of that, we're all going to sign off on it. That's the development level that we want for the project. And each one of those is going to be a thorough budgeting exercise as well. It's kind of goes hand in hand with the design and the documentation where we're looking at budget. So far, when we looked at budget in the first kind of study, we looked at it from a very high level at cost per square feet. But as we develop further from schematic into design development, we're looking at a lot more detail. Likewise, we're doing the same thing with budget. So we're looking not at square feet only, but we're looking at material selection, linear feet of things, height and volumes of things. So the budget becomes a lot more detailed, just like the design does. So when we get to that point, we're doing a budget check, make sure we're on track there. We also enlist some outside industry partners from the construction industry or suppliers. So we get real-time information, not just last project information, but where is it today? Because it is a changing market right now, particularly in the sub-trades where we're seeing better than normal pricing over the last couple of years. From there, if the design is approved, we launch into the detailed technical drawings, the construction documents, and that's about halfway through. We're about 10 weeks in at this point, completing design development, moving into construction documents, and we're really kind of crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and working on the document that's going to go to bid. So it's instructions to the bidders, but it's very clear information. So even those that are in the user groups that aren't contractors, that aren't architects, will understand it, because we're going to walk you through that phase too. It's not something where we're going to be meeting a lot on as compared to the first two phases where we meet pretty regularly. And the construction document's a little bit more of a check-in kind of a process. At the end of that, we're going to do our final estimate, which will be a very detailed estimate, and then go into the bidding process. And then from bidding process into construction. That kind of covers, your question regarding the overall design. A couple things I'll point out in that process, that was really more of the flow of how the design happens. But there's a lot of influences besides the design and interaction with the user. There's commission meetings, there is maybe town hall meetings or public engagement meetings. All of that is helpful, but we let that be gauged by you in terms of how much others do you want to include in the process. We feel the more information we get, the better. And we built that into the schedule, anticipating that we're going to have those kind of meetings too. Did I cover all the points of your question? Or Mike's in the company.
Can we add a couple of things? I know Mike wants to say something
I'd like
mechanically.
to jump in there just a second on the engineering side, right? So most importantly, you're getting into an older building with some dated infrastructure, right? And we've done our part of due diligence when we did the pre-assessment with you guys. So, a lot of things we found just out of the gate that we saw, we have some dated rooftop units with some PAV boxes that maybe were put in the OU era that were, kind of addressed in that assessment report. So we're going to be evaluating that and conditions and site works and rooftop life expectancies. But then in addition to that, also an addition is being considered here, right? So we got to get a jump on the incoming electrical service. Right, so that is something you don't want to find in the 11th hour. So our means and methods of doing that will be early on, actually doing a 30-day demand metering of that service, right, which we provide on our end. We actually open up the gear and install the meter. And so we're able to find out very early on in those, the SD phase, where we're kind of figuring out the schematic and the design and the square footage we want to do with the building. Ballpark idea of what we're looking at. So if we do have to get DTE involved, which could take up to 6 months, 9 months to a year, we can get ahead of that game so you're not holding up any project deadlines, right? So on top of that, while, OU era had some pretty nice, I would say some pretty good background information for us to go off of, there's still a lot of old bones that we've got to get into and uncover, right? So from an infrastructure standpoint, there's piping, there's insulation, there's compromised leaking pipes, rusted lines, whatever they may be. Our team, one, we're very close right at the street from you guys, but two, we use something called a 3D Matterport scanner. So we'll actually come through with a 3D scanner, actually scan this building and get actually a real life image of what we're looking at. We take back to our office, and a lot of times those nooks and crannies and surprises are able to be unveiled during that 3D scan. So.
Thanks, Mike. Mike will talk forever. This is really good. And this Mike talks a lot too. So just one other item on the schedule. You asked about the schedule. We included a schedule in our proposal document. We're a little off the schedule, I'd say, just based on where we are today. Not a big deal. Big picture is we have about 20 weeks for this process that David described: schematic design, program confirmation, design development, construction drawings. It's a fast pace. We're comfortable doing that. We do it all the time. And I'd say we stick to that if you're comfortable with it, only because time is money. So the longer you wait, the longer you delay things, prices are uncertain. And right now, the bidding market is actually favorable for municipalities such as yours. We're bidding several projects right now. We're coming in well under budget. Darren, Lauren, Vicki. Anyways, that's the schedule.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kelly.
All right. Please describe your firm's experience with public safety and municipal projects, particularly retrofit or renovation projects similar in scope and complexity to this one.
I'll take a stab at it, and then David will probably correct me. We've been in business 21 years. We just had an anniversary last week. Our firm has been focused on public work since the beginning. We've worked with over 50 municipalities in that 20-year period. And in the last probably 10 years, we've probably worked on 36 fire stations and other municipal type projects, several.
Correction, 36 so far, 2 in process.
Okay, so close to 40 with this team you see right here. Our engineers, our project managers, our architects are all well-versed in this building type. Several police stations, several combination projects, a lot of new builds, but also a lot of renovations. There was several listed in our qualification document, and we have a couple more we can talk about, but I think we're well versed, and Mike and his team, again, have done several on their end.
Just to add a couple more stats to that, Mike mentioned 50 municipalities and 38 fire stations, but 20 police stations we've been involved in, 11 city hall, and a number of them have been combinations. I think it's about 9 that have been in combination with public safety and municipal offices. Recently, we finished a job for the city of hopefully Mount Clemens. That was before the city of Madison Heights. So that includes City Hall, library, a senior center, and a fire station. All happening at the same time. Not all connected, but all happening at the same time. Similarly, with Addison Township, we did one like that. Currently, we're working with the city of New Baltimore, revisioning what their city hall, fire station could look like, and a couple other municipalities along the same thing. Like I say, it's like 9 or 10 where we have combined public safety and municipal offices. So it really is a focus, whether it's been in the last 10 years or not. The important thing I want to say there is the number isn't really the thing. It's the experience that this team behind me has, and it's very specialized kind of expertise. And when we do that, we bring a facilitation skill to the process, but we look at our sheriff, we look at our police, we look at our fire administration as our subject matter experts, when what we try to do is pull from them the right information to design their building, because in the end, it needs to have your thumbprint on it, not a Partners in Architecture building. It needs to be a building for the city of Mount Clemens.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to ask you about fee structure and cost transparency. Can you walk us through how you developed your fee proposal, including any anticipated reimbursables and travel expenses, for instance, and what services are not included in your base fee, and what circumstances would trigger additional services?
I'll let Mike take that, but I stood here just long enough to say welcome, Ms. Brown.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, David. We based our fee structure on the project the way we understand it. We developed the concept design for you with a concerted effort to determine should you buy the building or not. We know what's required as far as an addition and renovation throughout the building. So our fee was priced pretty aggressively in our terms, how we, normally figure our fee. And it's reflective in our schematic design number is really lower than it would normally be because we already have a lot of the answers. Now we're going to go back and reconfirm our assumptions and decisions that were made. The plan that we have is going to change. It's going to evolve. Our fee is our fee. There is no extra fees. There is no extra costs. Now, if you wanted to add another building on another site, that's a totally different project. But the project we're speaking of today, it's all inclusive. We have a site survey included. We also gave you an option for soil borings and environmental site assessment. You can choose to hire that direct if you want. It's a pretty aggressive number that we got from our testing engineer that we typically work with. There are no reimbursable expenses. We can walk to the job site. So we can be there every single day if you want us to. There's no extra cost for that. We're here for the city. We want the best outcome.
Okay, I appreciate that response. I have just a follow-up question. Can you think of any unforeseen expenses that you may want to just bring to our attention that may come up other than the ones that we know are outside of your purview, like the environmental ones, but can you think of anything else?
From a designer's standpoint or architect's standpoint, I don't envision anything that's going to pop up that we haven't already anticipated from our perspective. Now, once we get into construction, that's a different story. We're going to dig footings for your new addition. You might find an old basement. We don't know. But putting that aside, from a design standpoint, there's nothing that, unless you guys disagree.
We did an initial assessment of the building, but along with and paralleling the schematic design phase, we'd have, as you can see, a number of team members that'd be available on the design is also available for the field verification, looking at every nook and cranny, understanding existing conditions, doing a scan of the existing conditions such that there's no surprises, right? Like Mike said, as soon as you dig underground, you could potentially find something, but we're also proposing soil borings so that we can have an understanding of what's happening underground ahead of time. So we have the resources to be able to do those things at the same time, which I think gives us an advantage in that the schedule doesn't allow for those things to happen separately. They've got to all happen at the same time.
All right. How will you manage the project budget to avoid scope creep and cost overruns during both design and construction?
Scope creep. So that's a new term maybe for you. Maybe it's not. We hear that on every project, and that's a real challenge to manage. Managing expectations, I guess, is part of our job. Conveying the overall design intent in a way you can understand it is our job. So, we work in two dimensions, but we also work in 3 dimensions. We're going to be building this drawing in a 3-dimensional model. We're going to show you, 3D images, and we can walk you through the spaces and so forth for you, so you can understand what you're purchasing. But some of the elements David described, these room data sheets, which is a drawing of, like, take this room for instance. What do you need in this room to function? How many people do you need to fit? Do you need a microphone, a projector, a TV, or whatever? All that's going to be on this document that we're then going to turn over to our engineers so they put the power in the right place in the floor and so forth. It's a well-coordinated set of documents, and it's really trying to identify, define your project. That's part of scope creep, but there are going to be things that come up that, Greg's going to say, hey, it'd be great if we could do this. It's like, yeah, that would be awesome. We could do that, but that's going to cost X dollars, and we have a budget here. So what do you want to give up? Do you want to make this office smaller, make the building smaller, or whatever? It's a series of compromises. I don't love that word, but that's really what it is. You're going to have a level of wants and needs, and the needs have to come first. So it's about communicating. Our project manager, Darren, is our office director. They're going to really coordinate that effort and make sure we're crossing the I's or crossing the T's and dotting the I's.
I'm just thinking,
Mike mentioned real clear that it's about managing expectations and communication. The thing I see in these existing buildings where scope creep happens that you really have to deal with it. In a new building, it's a little less of an issue, but we have a building out there that's sitting on the ground. We have a new thing going in that's meeting on two sides to existing paving. So there's a line that we say, here's the project line, but there's all this other existing stuff. The scope creep I could see happening is the paving area. At what point do you say that's all we're doing? Those are the kind of things I think we're going to encounter during the development of the design, because we're going to look more carefully at those things. And we're going to mitigate that by at least drawing your attention to it and building alternatives into it so the scope is covered. Whether you choose to do it or not is an option you take on bid day. We want to have a number so it doesn't become a surprise or a kind of thing. So we're going to mitigate that to some degree. There's always going to be something that comes up, whether it's us that brings something to you or you bring something to us, and we'll have to determine whether we can manage that within the budget we have.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
I think you've already touched on this a little bit earlier, but maybe you can be more specific now. The question is, what is your experience holding town halls to garner public input, and how were you able to incorporate the feedback into the design?
That's a great question. We do a lot of public work, as we mentioned. Some of that public side of the work is K-12 work as well. And a lot of the school districts that we work for, we've held several town hall meetings trying to, plan the future for a, multi-building district, right? 10, 12, 14 buildings. So hosting a meeting in a public forum is not anything new to us, but the trick is really understanding the goals of the community, listing out, open-ended questions that we can get some real feedback on. And then sometimes we can follow it up with online surveys or so forth. We did do a few surveys, I think, for this first process, which was quick. So we can kind of replicate that, but maybe at a bigger scale. Mm-hmm. And some of the public projects we've done, I think we've done some of that.
Yes, we have. Like Mike says, our work's the 95% in the public realm. Every single project, I would almost say without exception, has public engagement to some degree. It's going from this kind of a forum to we're standing over there talking to your public. And we've done that a number of times. From the city of Dexter, which we're currently finishing their fire station, where we moved their current fire into their existing city hall. So we had to modify the city hall to accept that. Previously, we did the city hall. But all of those went through a public engagement process where we were facilitating a meeting, trying to garner information directly from the public. Some of it was a little contentious, not because they were interested in the project and how it was going to turn out. They just didn't want the project to happen. So we're prepared for that. And we go to those meetings with a intention of what is it we're going to do and what we expect to get. And we bring the appropriate graphics, whether it be a survey or handout type things. It's about being prepared and really listening. And that's really an important part to us. We've done that with a couple communities. Village of Almont, we did the same thing. They contemplated a bigger project and they weren't sure they wanted to do it. They wanted to get the barometer from their public. And we went through probably a half dozen multiple, like hundreds of people showing up at these meetings with quite robust, I'd say. But we do it quite often. It really is it this or is it us facing this way? And we do them both.
Great. Yeah, I really think it's going to be important here to do that for our residents.
Commissioner McGarry.
Risk management and unknown conditions. What potential unknowns or risk concern you most about a project like this? If unforeseen conditions are discovered, how would you address them while minimizing schedule and budget impacts?
So unforeseen conditions are, maybe there's a higher level of those with an existing building. Fortunately, we've spent some time in the building and a lot of it you can see, above the ceilings and so forth. We would do our due diligence from a, field verification standpoint. Mike from UBS had kind of explained this 3D scan that they're planning on doing as well. Again, you can't see everything. So the idea would be if something does come up, during construction, we're going to readily address it. We're going to meet and discuss options and then make a quick decision with your input, of course. Some of those unforeseens come with additional costs. Our job as the architect and engineer is to review those in detail with the contractor and make sure you're not paying more than you should. Certain things, we know what they cost. We know how much labor it should take to rectify, and we're going to challenge them every step of the way. We're very involved throughout construction, and you're going to have a construction contingency, and our job is to protect that, make sure there's dollars left at the end of the project.
Like Mike said, existing buildings have issues. We're going to tie into an existing building, so that's going to be a point that we're going to want to thoroughly investigate. The other is we're going to be building a new portion, so we're going to encounter something under the ground. The other parts of this building is that we're going to be doing a fair amount of new plumbing within a building that has a slab, that has underground piping that we're going to want to tie into. So as-built drawings, a little investigation on that end, mapping it out through technology is going to be a really important thing to avoid it as a unforeseen condition, but plan it as a opportunity to get it right. The other thing about this is it's a category 2 type building right now. We're planning a category 4 type building, which is a very different construction type. We've done a fair number of these, Comtech for the county here in Mount Clemens. If you've seen that building, there's a little structural element outside that looks decorative, but it's not. It's meant to create the category 4 reinforcements from when that was a category 2 building, just like this is. And we know what we need to do there. So we're planning to do that necessary investigation during the design process so it doesn't become who didn't know that at inspection time. So not knowing that, if a team that's doing this project wouldn't be aware of that need, that would be a very large, unforeseen, but foreseeable thing that could have been done with during the design phase. So that's some of the detail that we are able to cover because of our experience in this building type, not just in doing fire in city, but doing existing buildings converted from a different kind of use to a fire or sheriff. So it's a very important factor there.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Last question is about success. So from your perspective, what does a successful outcome look like? And then tied to that question, what distinguishes your firm from others that we interviewed tonight? And I do see the last page of your submission says why choose partners. So you've already listed some things there, but there might be one thing you want to bring to our attention.
So what defines success? I would say high fives at the end of the project. I mean, that's very simple terms, but meeting your expectations, bringing the project in on time and within your budget, and not leaving anything behind that you really wanted. So during the design process, like I mentioned, there's a series of compromises. Our job is to define what can fit in the project and what can't fit in the project. And we do that with a very thorough budgeting process, not just one time, not 2 times. It'll be at least 3 or 4 times throughout this 20 weeks that we're talking about, reaching out to our industry partners and so forth for input on the construction. Why I mention that is we need to know, can you afford this or not, right? I really want this, I really need this. Well, I'm not sure we can get it. Well, if we have incorrect cost information, you're going to decide, okay, we'll do without that. We get the bids in, wow, we're way under budget. That's wonderful. Well, kind of, but you didn't get what you wanted. So our job is to make sure, our estimates are accurate as can be. We can't predict the bid day number by any means, but we can get pretty close. And, we do that with communication and collaboration with our design partners and our suppliers. Did I miss anything there?
Yes. So, we don't disappear at the end of the project. We're here.
You're right there.
We're available. And even if we were, 30 minutes away, we'd still be available. We want to make sure if there's any issues coming up, users are having difficulty understanding our complicated mechanical systems, which will be simplified for the city. And then we do a post-occupancy evaluation. We come through usually at the 10th, 11th month time frame, right? We're going to walk through, we're going to look to identify any tweaks that have to be made. We're going to make sure the contractors get back out, address any warranty items before that period ends. And we're going to be available as your partner with this building, because as soon as you get occupancy, that doesn't mean it's over, right? You got to learn how to live in your new digs, and we're here to help you do that. So.
Great. Okay, so I'd like to address your last question. What sets us apart? I gave you a little booklet. We tried to highlight some of the things. We could talk for an hour on this, but we're not. I just like to touch on a few of these things and just bear with me because I spent a lot of time on it. So I'd just like to state, we are a local architectural firm. You don't get any more local than we are, okay? We're right down the street. We've been in this city for over 20 years. Actually, we just celebrated our 21st last week. We're vested in local interests. You know that. You've seen us around. We regularly assist our local nonprofit partners. We have a culture of helping others. Half of our team, or most of our team, is here because they believe. Firm leaders, Darren, myself, David, we're very accessible and available. We restored the old Mount Clemens fire station. You all know that. It's our home. We can walk to the project site. It's pretty awesome. Every day if we want, if you want us to. And we probably will. We'll stroll there for lunch. We're providing the city with $5 million in professional liability insurance. You only asked for $2 million. We have $5 million as a company. We do a lot of big projects, so that's a benefit to you. And we are part of the community. We want nothing but the best for the city. The next page just shows some projects we've done. This page here just highlights some of the things we've really invested our time and effort in. Mount Clemens High School, Mount Clemens Schools, we work with them. We're trying to help them redefine and revitalize themselves. We worked on the Henry Ford Health Clinic in the Mount Clemens High School. I think Miss Yor here was maybe involved. We do a lot of work with the county. We're involved with the Selfridge-based Community Council. We've done, sorry, I just need another minute or two. St. Mary's School, we did their large addition a few years ago. We've done several freebie projects. Where's Vicki? Vicki right there, her kids go there. She's talked me into, hey, can we help them with this? Can we help them with that? Sure. So we'll do it. Zion Church right next to our office, we help them with many things. The DDA, David was a member for many years. Mount Clemens Housing Commission, we've done a ton of work with them over the years. That was Darren's baby. Macomb Foster Closet, we just helped them with something recently. Currently working with them. McCrest, we're working with McCrest. Anton Art Center, I was involved on the board for several years. We also helped them with some of their building issues. Gleaners, Care House, we really help as many people as we can. The next one, your favorite picture, Mount Clemens Trash. We threw ourselves out there, okay? We're just wanted to help, so we seen a problem. Let's see if we can help. So we donated our time and effort. I talked to many of these businesses, several others from our office toured the city. Again, trying to get a resolution that's best for everybody. The Mount Clemens Rose Walk, maybe you've heard of this, maybe you haven't. We were approached by the beautification committee. Hey, could you help us? So we created some renderings for them. We just finished these, I think Matt's. Who else? Jake? Who else worked on this? A few people from the office, Gordana, I think, did. We delivered those in January. The next page is where the old Macomb County parking deck was. Used to be there. They were going to reconstruct that parking deck right where it was. David and I were sitting around, wow, that's kind of stupid. Why would they do that? So we took it upon ourselves. We did a citywide parking assessment. Really, David led that effort. He surveyed every parking lot, seeing that most of them are empty Monday through Friday during the day. We pitched the idea to the county executive, to the county commissioners, don't build a parking deck, park in the city parking lots. It was an awesome idea, we thought. Have everybody walk through the city, patronize the businesses. Well, they didn't love that idea. They liked it. But we did convince them to build a smaller parking deck where it is today. We did that parking deck. And that opened this parcel up for future opportunity, which we wanted to realize a city park, similar to Campus Martius, ice skating, amphitheater, whatever. It's still there. There's still an opportunity, so we're hopeful. And we did get the county to really get jazzed about it for a while. The next page, this is your city property. We did a concept back in 2015. I know you're getting to this point now, which this doesn't really mean anything, but you know, we did something that, hey, it's just a vision.
Also, while we're doing that, we started a new city hall in 3 different locations. Because you have to go somewhere.
Including the Macomb Daily building. We were going to put you in this building. Wasn't our idea, but anyways, we designed a concept for that. Unfortunately, the building owner at the time didn't get along with the city, I guess, but that's beside the point. Say hello to our team. Everybody say hi. So we are 35 strong right here in Mount Clemens. These amazing people come to work every single day in the office. They patronize the businesses in this city. They're here, what time is it, 8:30? They're here at 8:30. Some of them are in the office, what time you get in? 6? Andy? 5:30? Brian's in the office at 4 a.m. sometimes. Anyways, we're very dedicated to our job. Show me another firm that can show you that. We have a whole team in the proposal. Again, heavily Mount Clemens businesses. You guys have been here how long? 7 years. 7 years. An amazing mechanical and electrical firm. We also have our IT designer is right on Walnut Street, Metro Technology. So we do work with them on every project pretty much. That's about it. So sorry for taking a little more time. We really appreciate the effort, and we would really love to be part of this future project for you.
I just may have one little thing, and it's really not a closing statement, it's an answer to your question. How do we define success, or how do we know it's successful? It's really, we will feel it's successful if you feel it's successful. And that happens at 3 different levels. And that's why I wanted to say this. You can feel like it was a good project that was on budget and on schedule. Your user groups within the departments can feel like they got a better place to be. But real success to us is that one single user of a space, when they feel like it's better for them to do their job, that's when we know we did ours.
Well, thank you guys so much. We appreciate all the effort that you've put in prior to this interview, the help with the renderings and the study that led us to, buy the building. You and all of the work that you've done throughout the years in the community. So thank you very much for all of this. We have a lot to chew on, as you can imagine. But we really appreciate it, and we recognize your commitment to the community, and we thank you for that. So, in terms of next steps, we have to digest this, but we are anxious to get started. And I think that what we've kind of tasked the commission with is giving Greg some direction by tomorrow. And by that, we mean maybe just narrowing the focus of how many, or if somebody is knocking it out of the park, then saying that in an email to Greg. One of the commission will individually do that to Greg. And then what we plan to do is either have a discussion, have a narrowed field, have something on Tuesday at our commission meeting. We're so excited that we're finally here. I look at those renderings and I say, although there was an opportunity before, I'm glad that now we get to have a hand in this, because what an exciting legacy to leave the residents of Mount Clemens as a beautiful space. So thank you for being part of that in this interview today, and we're very excited. So, does anybody else have any questions, comments for partners?
I just want to thank the whole team for coming. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
thank you guys.
We really appreciate it.
And I'm glad they fed you dinner first.
Oh, good, yeah,
Thank you very much. You guys have a great evening.
Thanks, you guys. Take care. I would say safe travels, but.
Love that they're in that old fire
Yeah.
station.
I know.
I love what they did with it.
Yeah, it's a great building.
I can't write this much.
Okay, so let me go back to my agenda here.
I wish all our meetings could be this much fun.
I know. No pressure, Greg.
You guys have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thanks. Where is my agenda? Do you have my agenda? I don't know. Somebody has my agenda.
Yeah, it's just,
I had my agenda. Commissioner comments, I'm assuming,
if
right?
anybody has any additional questions, I guess.
Yeah, you have any
that
comments, questions?
I can answer, and
I do.
Yeah, okay.
I do too.
All right.
And I do too.
Okay.
I'll try and come up with one.
Greg, do you have any input in this? Because you know more of the details. It's very hard to really do an evaluation of to pick one out, from just being that they were in Mount Clemens, that aside. I mean, that's.
I know, that's a hard.
That's a hard,
aside.
yeah, and
I would just say that every time you see something before you that went out to bid, now you have an understanding of what went on behind the scenes to get it to you. Certainly a bigger project has more. I can tell you that the water project was a monster,
Yeah, I know. And I feel bad that you have so many projects going on at the same time. I mean,
I don't, this is great. This is exciting. I mean, this is the time.
I'm gonna
to do
remind
this.
you
This
of
is what
that.
everybody wants. I mean, I come from a construction background. It's what my family did. I was actually a construction foreman for the last 5 years. I did that before I got in the fire service. Once in the fire service, I became a fire inspector, which was also a plan reviewer. Right, so this isn't all that uncommon to me. We've had several projects since I've been the city manager and the city manager has to be heavily involved. So, my main goal here, because you wanted to go this route, was to pare down, the original RFPs and bring to you four, that I felt could do the job. I think you can see that amongst that, there's probably, one or two that probably rise to the top a little better than the others. But and like I said, because this is services, price isn't the only factor, right? You can absolutely give a lot of credence to the service that's going to be provided. So,
But you have such vast knowledge. If we were going down a path of choosing somebody that you saw some concerns with, would you bring it to our attention?
they wouldn't have been here today if I had those concerns,
Okay,
right?
so
I mean, I
you
wouldn't have
really would
even.
be okay with any of them, or you're going to have a pick also?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to pick anybody because you're picking them. So,
Are you asking if he had to narrow it down?
Yeah, or at some point, I guess if he thought he had some concerns or maybe something we hadn't considered because we don't have the knowledge he has, would he give us that information? Like, you might not have picked up on this, or did you notice that this was this?
Yeah, so I think, when you look at these projects and what you probably noticed is that most of them, you have an architect and then you have several other firms that are involved. And that's pretty common until you get into, like, let's say a Fishbeck would have bid on this, which they do this type of work. I know they didn't bid, but they would have all that in-house, right? Most of these subs would be their own people because they're a big enough firm. They have all those. So you've got that situation here, which is common. It's nothing to be worried about. But I think if you look at a lot of these subcontractors and where they may be located and some of their history is where you can really start making some of that determination on why one may have an advantage over the other. The other one is because we do have a fire station involved and because they are combined with another building, that's kind of a specific project. And so everybody here has done some, right? Because you wouldn't want this project to be your first one, that's for sure. So, that's important. And some have done a lot more than others. So.
I have a question and a comment. For me, there were very few surprises here tonight because I did pour over all of the proposals, the RFPs, very, very closely. And to your point, some just rose to the top just by the way they presented themselves, the detail, the comprehensiveness, and then there were no surprises really. So my question is, how did Partners in Architecture come to do the pre-assessment? Did they volunteer to do that for us?
No, they
how
were
did
paid
that
to
come?
do that assessment.
So how were they selected to do it based on previous?
Well, number one, they're local. And so
Okay,
because
okay.
we had a due diligence period, first we had to make sure that we could even purchase the property, right? And that was a whole process. You guys remember getting to that point. So then you get into the due diligence period. And so what I did is I requested double the normal amount of time, which still was a tight time frame to try to get that done. So Partners being local and then being within the price range where we didn't have to go out to bid,
Right.
per the charter, it just made sense.
So it made sense. It was convenient.
Yeah, and I mean,
And their municipality emphasis.
they obviously you can see that they're, and I knew that they'd done several fire stations and municipal work, so it was an easy decision, to have them do that, especially because they're close, because they could, like they said, they could walk over and look at this building anytime they wanted. Like, I gave them the keys to it. I'm like, here, do what you got to do. And then in order, because we had time constraints when we also did assessments of these buildings, that was done by another firm for not only transparency, but just to expedite the process. And then we actually, at the same time, we used another firm to actually do an ALTA survey for the property, which to make sure we were getting what we thought we were purchasing. There was no surprises there, but then it's also important to have that for this phase of the project as well. So we did quite a bit in a short period of time for what we had to do. And, they said it, this isn't necessarily the final design. This was, will this work within the space we have before we went any further to purchase. So, but that's pretty much how they came to pass. This is a weird one because, normally on projects, that's one of the reasons that we have a city engineer. They would handle a lot of the aspects, but because our own city engineer may have actually bid on this project, this one was a little weird because we couldn't have the amount of involvement we normally have from them. So.
Have we done any work with any of the other firms? I know we've done work with Partners, obviously, but any of the other firms, anything?
Not that I know of, and not since my time here. We haven't done much in a while, so.
Yeah.
That's true too.
You know what I mean? It's the truth, right? We, for a lot of reasons, we weren't able to, so we haven't had much contact with these other folks.
I was glad he made the comment about the cost being lower in that schematic design area because they've already done this work. Because, otherwise they almost look like, because they're so much lower than, there's a big swing between all four of them, but that made sense then, right? That you could have.
Yeah, because I felt like they came, in their proposal, I put them on the same level as like an AKA, right?
Right.
But their pricing was different because they've already done that pre-work.
They've already done the work.
Right.
I thought that was a very good.
So it didn't feel like they were gouging us.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
it's
they're-
more
they're
apples to
the
apples.
most, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On construction management, I feel like we talked a lot about the architectural side, which makes a lot of sense. Construction management, I know that with Fishbeck, they did like a great job with the water. They've been coming back and forth, and we've heard a lot from them. I guess, are there any expectations that, because they're mostly dealing with you and periodically coming before us, but so are there any expectations that we should be looking for?
Oh, we will. So we'll go out for an RFP. And so it happens all the time now when you get a road project. We call it, for these projects, we call it construction engineering. So you have design engineering, then you have construction engineering. And so those services are usually handled by AEW because they're our in-house engineer for this project. My plan is to go out to bid for those services.
So we have to go out to bid for, again, for construction.
Construction, yeah. So we'll go out to bid for construction, and then we'll also go out to bid for, we'll call it, construction site services, I guess, to make it sound a little clearer.
Okay. And then, this is way out there, but there's some state money that was involved with specifically the fire department portion, right? Do we have to use union?
No, there's nothing in the agreement that states that we have to follow any of that for this. And so the bigger chunk of that is eaten up with the purchase price of the building. So it's really, about 700,000, I guess, ish. That will be actually towards the design phase. So yeah, the agreement itself doesn't.
It's not like how the federal government's.
Right, like on the water project that, we had to follow. Now we did get a waiver on one of those. Just for the materials? Yeah, I believe it was we got a BABA waiver. Mm-hmm. Only because there's time constraints for that project. And we didn't feel we could get all the materials in time to actually finish the project within. We were actually the only one in the state that's ever gotten that BABA waiver. So, but we got denied twice, but we kept going back. I know it's shocking, but they finally gave it to me.
We're elected. Go away, my friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll email you this, but I mean, I love the thought of having a local, firm do the work, and over the course of this entire project, looking for ways for local businesses to and residents to be impacted, for this to be similar to wherever possible. We're a small city, but of an investment, in our local businesses and in our residents. So
we actually have it's a policy. I thought it was something we incorporated into an ordinance, but it wasn't. It's actually, so we have a purchasing policy that was actually voted in by the commission. I can send it to you. I actually have, Rosemary just gave it to me because I think and she agrees that if we're going to have this, we should incorporate it into an ordinance. And that's what it addresses, is local. So basically, and the gist of it is, when all things are considered the same or close, that basically you should consider the local, in city, give the preference to them, yeah.
I like that idea of incorporating that into an ordinance.
Yeah, and it's a policy, it was Denise that actually brought that in, I believe, if I remember right.
I remember when we voted on it.
Yeah, and I remember that there was, and we'll have to look back, but I remember that Mike Murray, it was like this tightrope that we were walking of like legal and not, illegal of like,
so knowing this was coming,
you really give that preference,
and that we had a local, which doesn't happen that often, right? I wanted to review it, and that's when I found out it was just a policy. And then when I looked at it, I did the same thing. I sent it to the attorney, and I'm like, and so she said, yeah, it's okay, but I would put it into an ordinance rather than a policy. So,
and I can add that I think another residual benefit of making it a priority or even a legality to hire local is that it hopefully increases the opportunity for diversity in hiring as you move through the process and you have these other components of contractual hirees, because that's one thing that I'm always hoping to find and not finding a lot of it when I look at the firms, and there's just not a lot of diversity there. Mm-hmm. And that is important.
And it's hard for us to be too hardline on things because we're spending public funds, right? So everybody's got to have equal opportunity to get those funds. But I like the policy, and I like the fact that they're comfortable that we can put this into an ordinance. So, because I think we all want that, right? We all want to be able to have our local folks that, when we have the opportunity, which isn't all that often.
I'll have to review, but do you or any of you commissioners remember how many years has that partners and architect, that last group, how many years have they been in Mount Clemens?
21.
So they've been at the old fire station for
Yeah.
21 years with the staff. That's not all of their
Well, they
staff.
said they
you
were
see
in
it.
business 21.
Yeah, I don't think they've been
I
in
don't
the
think they've
fires
been
in that
there.
building 21
No,
years.
because
It could very well be. I
they came
mean,
from Birmingham. So
I do remember that. but
Yeah.
their staff
they've
is
been there more than
38.
10.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
I would
it's
say
got to
more
be
than-
close to 20.
I would say more than 15
Yeah.
because, so I mean, but I don't want to say for sure it's 21
Right.
because I know they had a home prior to us. So they said their anniversary was 21 years. So
I
probably close.
Jerry inspected. I remember that.
There you go. How long has that been then?
Commissioner McGarity, did you finish your point?
Yeah, I think that's something I'll ask. I'll ask them directly, like because I have a concern. How many years have you been in Mount Clemens now? Maybe they were somewhere. Were they somewhere in Mount Clemens before the old fire station? No.
No.
Yeah.
They said
okay.
Birmingham.
Okay.
They've been here a while.
Didn't they design cars?
Never heard that.
For some reason, I thought it was.
They would have said that.
Cars?
They would have said that.
Yeah, design cars.
Yeah,
That's what he has. But I
Because remember when we were looking at
I mean, it's
the
a
gym,
box.
and we went to them
It's not a lot.
to see
Not a
about
lot to
expanding
it.
it because they did the original drawing or something.
They had,
Much to it, I'm sure.
yeah. Yes, I do remember that. But I thought they had like done some kind of something for the school or
Maybe that was
for Jermaine Jackson when he was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then and something. So they had done some work in Carnes.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was some question about expanding the gymnasium because it's not real regulation. Anyway, regardless, don't get in the weeds in that.
No. I remember talking.
But yeah,
to them.
they did have some dealings with Carnes at some point, not designing it. Yes, go ahead.
Does us emailing you our first choice or narrowing it down, does that falls in line with our rules and with Open Meetings Act? Just want to make sure it doesn't.
I mean, it's just giving a directive. Yeah, it would fall in line as long as we're not doing a reply to all. I mean, we're not discussing anything in terms of like we're not discussing on a group email or something like that. It has to be like a Spencer to Greg. Like it can't be a to everybody else kind of email. So there's no deliberation, nothing of that. Now you can ask questions to Greg. And then Greg will send an email to the whole commission, whatever question you ask, giving everyone that information, right? But that all falls within Open Meetings Act.
Thank you. It's a good refresher.
And really, I don't have to have it, but I can put this on the agenda tomorrow. I could leave the motion blank, but I'd like to put firm into the motion,
Clearly, we need to get
Recover
going
ours.
because they all kind of danced around.
Oh, they're all-
The one AKA said, bump up the,
Well,
expand it.
even partners at 20
They went
weeks.
20, yeah.
Yeah. So.
I have two quick questions.
Yes.
Can you remind me what we paid for partners to do the feasibility study?
It's around 14,000.
Thank you. My second question is, AKA said that everything was rolled into their costs, but their 19,000 for geo and soil, they fell under another category that said additional costs. So to me, it didn't look like it was rolled in. Can you maybe get back to all of us about that? I don't
Yeah, I'd have to look at it again.
Yeah, I think what it is they included it as separate so you could pull it out and remove it from the total.
They were the
Take
one
another
firm
look. I
that-
really didn't see it that way.
Actually, I think they're the one firm, if I remember right, that added it to their total price. But everything's cafeteria style, so you can pull out whatever you wanted. So those, I personally don't think that we're gonna need like a phase 2 environmental. Those are usually things that you do to meet grant requirements, and you have to deal with SHPO and all that with the state. Geotechnical services, you're gonna do it, you do them on all these projects. Infiltration, I don't see that either. I'm not an engineer, but that's basically when you put a footing in, how much water you have, infiltrating into that footing, that could, cause an issue. That would probably be more revealed after the geotechnical services.
Now, the reason I brought it up to them was because Brad said when that it wasn't included.
And that's why he apologized, because that's why I went, wait a minute,
Yeah.
I thought for sure it was.
And so we just did that separately, just to see what their prices came back at. And then we can look at that and see what we could do it for. Now, normally, we would do the geotechnical ourselves. Like take the DRP, we did that ourselves. We didn't put that on the contractor. So, but I wanted to see what price they'd send back.
I got a variation on the theme.
All right.
It's very good. Thank you.
It was very informative. I feel like my brain's like, so.
You need a
good
move
to-
to adjourn?
Good to see. Yeah. And
So we
are
can
there
stop
any
the-
commissioner comments first? I mean, we.
Got an hour-long speech ready to go here.
All right, let's get at it. All right. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
Questions, comments?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.